Let's sing a song full of hope, full of pain. Strong, hey. Memories like this never end. No, they don't fade away. So when I'm gone, oh, when I'm gone, I'll be right there, close to the sun. Keep holding on, keep holding on, and I'll be right there, close to the sun, close to the sun. Close to the sun. Here's to the ones who let shine through the rain, the ones who stood for something more. We won't forget your names. The tide is high, say goodbye, we set it sail, and all those midnight crystals will take them to when I'm gone, oh, when I'm gone, I'll be right there, close to the sun, close to the sun, close to the sun. I'll be right there, close to the sun. Keep holding on, and I'll be right there, close to the sun. Let's sing a song full of hope, full of pain. Why don't you sing along, my friend? For it's our last refrain. Forever young, ever strong, ever brave. Memories like this never end. No, they don't fade away. So when I'm gone, oh, when I'm gone, I'll be right there, close to the sun. Keep holding on, and I'll be right there, close to the sun.
Not figure out why my connection's so terrible. Giving me like Wi-Fi, and I've got it plugged in. Like, and then my laptop it says I'm plugged in, which is not make any sense.
Here's to the ones who let shine through the rain, the ones who stood for something more. We won't forget your names. The tide is high, by we set it sail, and all those midnight secrets told, we'll take them to the grave. So when I'm gone, oh, when I'm gone, I'll be right there, close to the sun. Keep holding on, and I'll be there, sun. Close to the sun.
All right. So I did like a open hangout link. I can't be on too long. Apparently, I have some sort of obligation to go to tonight. So I didn't realize. So it is really choppy internet, and it's happened to me yesterday a little bit too. So if you cannot hear me, or I'm really super messed up, Nate the lawyer's here. If you if you cannot hear me, and if I'm really messed up, I apologize. I'm just gonna doing an old school open hangout. So if you want to swing by and chit chat, floating topics. I know Nate's here. If Nate, you want to tell us all about the boozy stuff, like sneak preview, I obviously would love it. But yeah. So without further ado, we have a contender. No, I'm just kidding. It's not like that. This is friendly. Hey Melissa, how are you doing?
Hi, I just never come on,
Can
so
you hear
I
me?
thought I'd pop on. I can hear you. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
I'm happy. Yes, I can. I'm just having a little bit of a weird, I don't know. Well, now it's like cooled down. It was like not wanting to, I don't know, it was giving that like no internet signal. And I was like, oh, great. So, but it looks good now. It looks like I'm in the green now. We're good.
Yeah, back when I was doing streams and having people on, I had to up my bandwidth. So I don't know.
I've got fiber, but I also, everybody works from home and I live in an apartment complex. So who knows? Who knows what's happening?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I work from home now. Well, I've been working home. I was not working during lockdown, but I'm working again. I guess for the last year I've been working again, but I don't know. I do gig work, so but I always get it, I have
So I want to say
two
hi.
hookups.
Hi to chat real quick. Hi, Amber. Hi,
I'm sorry.
Mayor. Hi,
Hi,
Melissa
chat.
Boomer.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Nate the lawyer. Nate and I go back. I knew Nate before he made it the big time, and I just love that he comes over and says hi every so often. He doesn't
Nate's
forget
like
where he comes from.
he's like a superstar to me, and I
I
made
know,
this.
right? Jeez.
I made this Dramageddon thing, and I was just talking to somebody in this. I think it was I can't remember, but I was just talking to somebody in this sphere about it, and they go, "Oh, you've got to give it to me," but it's on that hard drive that crashed. So I'm trying to retrieve it. But he and Uncivil were in it. Anyway, it was all the Dramageddon set to Broadway musicals.
Oh, okay.
And he was one of the lawyers in Legally Blonde. I set all the lawyers to Legally Blonde, but he probably doesn't know who I am at all. Anyway.
Very cool. Very cool. So there is a link in the chat if you feel inclined to join. There are some people that like, maybe if I know that you're somebody that tends to not get along with somebody else, I might set the table a little bit. But for the most part, if you would like to join, it's awesome. If you are a troublemaker, I do like to have troublemakers occasionally on. This is not the hangout for that. I am not in a troublemaker mood right now, but sometimes I am. I do have that octagonness in me where I want to do a little bit of battle here and there, but not today. I feel a little chill today. But yeah, it's good to see you, Melissa. I know that you've taken a break and then come back and
well, it's more like I really did just leave the drama sphere because I felt like that's where all the trouble was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just always there. And then it only took a month, I'm not kidding, to clear my algorithm and to clear my head. And I kind of felt like, wow, it was kind of like in the 80s where everybody watched soap operas on TV. And once I left all that, I thought, whoa, and anytime you're watching it, it makes you feel anxious. And so once I did all that, I just felt like, and I even talked to Terry. Sorry, I just said his name, but whatever.
Bob. You talked to Bob.
I talked to Bob about it, and I was like, wow, I just don't feel that way anymore, like at all. And everything went back to normal. And now I just want to do my music and listen to my music. So I'll see Julie Virgo's things go up, and if it has a title of just like fun stuff, then I'll pop on there. I do watch some of the Jesse Teacup stuff, just like, oh my God, this is hysterical. And then I still keep an eye on Cyrax because I was one of the people that they used for a decoy. And then that's it.
Oof. Eek. Yeah,
I
the
know.
whole decoy thing. Oof. I
It,
mean, I think somebody has to do it, but I just, oof. Yeah.
but other than that, I don't even watch any drama anymore. Sorry if I vape into your.
No, I will watch the drama and not watch the drama. Like I'll participate in chats, and then there's other things where I'm just like lulzy. And I think it's easier if you're like a channel that does one or the other. If you try to hybrid, you're gonna offend somebody somewhere. Someone's gonna be like, "That's not my cup of tea." Amber Chick 9.99 super sticker. Thank you for the sticker. Let me see what sticker it is because it doesn't show me over here. So let me look over here. I should at least look at your sticker. Let me see here. Normally I have this point out on my phone. Hang on one second. Somebody's car's revving up.
I'm sorry, I'll mute. Gosh, I forgot.
It's okay. I just noticed that. I was like, oh, well, this is really weird. My phone's
I live in
freaking
a
out.
retirement community, and nobody usually even drives around.
Well, that's bizarre. Let me close YouTube and reopen it. I tried to click on something and it won't even let me. My iPhone's broken. What's wrong with me? Okay, here we go.
There we go.
Oh, I have an alert on my phone. That's why it wouldn't spring up. It says new. Managing moderators can support your channel even more ways. Introducing managing moderators. These users have the same capacity as standard moderators, but in addition, they can manage block words and change chat modes in live. Definitely don't want to hand that out like candy. But apparently that's a new feature. Good to know.
Hi, Amarose.
Interesting.
Hello.
Okay, so I finally was able to see your sticker. And that's really cute. Look, it's a little fox. I think it's a fox with a little heart. It's very cute. Thank you. Appreciate it. You have donated to my taco fund because reasons.
Tacos are important.
They are important. Speaking of tacos, you've been working out.
Yes.
So you have to work off the tacos. So how's that been going?
Oh, good. Actually, no, it's like I actually have an appetite now, so it's good. The working out. Because like my body's like, now that you're burning calories, you need more. So I just got finished snacking on an apple and peanut butter, string cheese, and pretzels.
That sounds good. Apples and peanut butter. I love that together. Actually, quite a bit. Villanova, welcome. According to Alice, I have a crush on you and Julie at once. It's weird. Alice is weird. She's obsessed with my gender and sexuality. I don't understand why. She needs to calm down.
I don't even really know who Alice is, and I don't know who the hogs are.
Oh, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. If you don't know, you don't want to know. And I'm not going to explain here, but I can show you things, and then you will be like, run for the hills. Run for the hills.
I asked the person, gives Melissa a bad name. I said, am I that Melissa? And she said, yes. And I go, why? It's okay because I think it's all funny now. And she goes, it's because of the road hogs, you hang out with them. And I go, I don't know who those people are. It's okay. I don't care. It's all right.
Fit and curvy in the house. Hi. This is the Iron Maidens lady, right? Is that the name of your show? A geek room spinoff, so to speak. I don't know. Wouldn't you consider it? I don't know. It's in the geek room realm. You know, like if there's like a little subsidy, it's in there. So
I tried to follow her makeup tips and I ended up looking like a clown because she knows what she's doing and I don't.
yes, Unchained Maidens. Did I say that wrong? Yes. Yes. The geek room adjacent. There we go. There you go. If you would like to join the channel, you're welcome to join. Always Fit and Curvy, or anybody really. As long as you're not a weirdo, as long as you're not Alice. I have to be in the mood for Alice. So you asked who Alice is. Alice is like a real weirdo. She likes to say I'm a land whale, but she has jowls, and you can tell. And she wears has a filter, and she raises the camera super high. And then she's I don't know. She's just on the wrong side of everything. The friend of my enemy, or sorry, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing. I met her when she was attacking somebody repeatedly who was generally a good person. And I'm just like, show me the evidence. And she's like, I'll show you the evidence. And she just like was making up shit. And she had like made 3 claims and asked for the evidence. And then she couldn't come up with the evidence. And then she summoned Mod X for the evidence and he couldn't come up with the evidence. And then I was just like, okay, after 70, literally 70 comments, I was like, okay, goodbye. And I blocked her for a little bit. And so I think we do this thing where we block Zulu each other quite a bit. She's generally blocked by most people, but like, it's like, I mean, Melissa and Amaroz, you know this. Like, sometimes you just want to chase the weirdos back and see what they'll do. Like, she's one of those people. Like, she's just a real total weirdo. But anyway, she's buddies with the Hogs. She supports basically anybody that's an idiot, like Steve, EKC, you know, pretty much. If you could be wrong about everything, that's Alice. And she's a Canadian. Like, I thought Canadians were nice, but apparently not. We've got some Canadians that are not very nice. So I'm very disappointed. Very disappointed.
Yeah, I get this thing, and it kind of comes every 3 or 4 months where people who doubt my past, which is okay, that's all right, but they doubt my past. And so they'll come around, they put, and it's 3, it comes in 3s, and they put in my DMs, can you help me get a job? And I say to them, no, that's never what I really did. What I did was I helped companies get people, but I can help you with certain things like interviewing. And I tell them where they can find the good lists of companies that hire people, and I'll send them in that direction. But then I get the follow-up. It always comes in 3s where it's 1 person, 2 person, 3 person. And I get over that. I'm like, okay. And then it just comes in patterns, you know, and then I know I'm being trolled. And so it's happened so many times. And then I'll have people say, no, you're not being trolled. And I'm like, here's the evidence. Let me show you. So then I got a shit stir reputation. So that's why I think that I had to get out of it completely.
You got the shit stir reputation.
Yeah, that's where I think.
I mean, once you participate a little bit in some of the lulz cow stuff, I mean, generally, which is interesting because like there's a lot of times where I wouldn't say that I'm insincere when I engage weirdos, because there's a level of sincerity there, but there's also a level of like slapboxing, sort of. You know, like if you're gonna be a dumbass, I'm gonna be a dumbass back, kind of thing. But like there's also like a lot of people that I really just enjoy talking to, and I like to be challenged and things like that. And so when you kind of are hybrid of it, people get confused. Like they really want to put you in like a one or the other category, and if you aren't, they get wigged out. So, I mean, I guess like I could be super serious all the time and be like, y'all, we're going to have a discussion about religion and we're going to have a discussion about politics. Or it could be, you know, all lulz cowy. And I can tell you where the money is. If you want to make money, it's in lulz cow watching. I'm telling you, it would roll in. There also, if you want to make money, there's money in KJP hating. by the way. Also, if you want to make money, there's money in Michelle Sabat or whatever her name is hating. There's all sorts of money. Let the money flow. If that was what I was about, I would probably only go that route. But I just like to do what I like to do, and that can change. It can change in a moment. So I don't know, but I'm not really here to chase the almighty dollar, though. I do appreciate the $9.99. I'm not gonna lie. It all goes to a fund. Actually, I'm gonna start saving, I think, for a new computer, so that way I am ready for when this one goes out. But I'm not whining or complaining or asking for donuts because of that. But I think that's where I'm gonna start putting things towards. But
okay, and then that's the whole other thing is I was being called a pay pig, and I know a pay pig because
what's a pay pig? Like somebody that donates all the time, or somebody that
Yeah.
asks for donations?
No, I was giving money, and then I was starting to give big money, and what's that sweet lady? The one that gives a lot of money. I have such a bad memory. That's my MS. Dee Higgins. She helped me donate to a fundraiser that I did, and I was full transparent, but the channel shut, I shut that channel down, so those are gone. But I was fully transparent, blah, blah, blah. And she gave money, but then she kept donating to me. And I'm like, no, babe, I make a lot of money. Like, I make a lot of money. And I still get Medicare, but that's because we go through a trust fund. You can do that legally. And so I was like, no, don't give any money to me. I don't ask for donations. My channel right now is a music channel, so that's all licensed music. I'll never make a penny.
Yeah. Well, unless you do a Patreon, right? So that's how the movie reviewers do it, is they do a Patreon, and that's where majority of their money comes from, because they just get clobbered each time.
Spackle, I give computers away. Like, I have a laptop sitting around. I offered Julie one. I'm like, oh, is your computer down? Let me give you the laptop that's 2 months old. So I don't need money. And I was like, no. Dee, stop giving me $50. I'm just going to give it away to somebody else. So I'm fine. I live off a freaking golf course. I'm good.
Anyway. My goodness.
No, I don't mean it like that.
I'm teasing.
I do not mean it like that. I just mean it like I'm not like needing stuff,
Yeah. No, you're being honest about it. You're like, dude, like, I'm not hurting for money. There's other people that could use it more. That's kind of my thing. It's like, I appreciate it if you want to buy me a coffee, so to speak. And that's great. But I also know that there's people with greater needs than I am. So like, if ever there was like a choice between like giving to me or somebody that's, struggling with cancer or something like that, give to that other person, But if you're bored and you're like, here, have a taco, I'm gonna be like, okay, cool, But yeah, so I'm pretty like chill about it, like, but yeah, I think if I was after money only, I think I would just completely go lol's cow view, which would make me feel like my soul was sold, so to speak. I have somebody in the back room, those big old somebody. So I will let you in just a second. Stacy Bobble says $5 for the price of Starbucks. You and 88 others can help buy Spackle a computer. Sarah McLaughlin in the background playing. Yes. In the arms of the angel, fly away from here.
There we go.
It's not on its like last leg. I can just tell that it's overheating constantly. So we'll figure it out.
You know what? Though I just took this computer, the one I'm on right now, I took it in and it only cost $200. The dude replaced the battery and the fan, and that was only $200, and it's like new.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna get it looked at before anything.
Yeah, sure. I was gonna say, have you vacuumed it out or anything?
Yeah, I did do that. I think I'm gonna look at it again and see. Nate the lawyer. Oh my goodness.
Hey, Nate.
It is like old school now.
It's been a long time.
How are you today, Nate?
You know what? I know this is important, Nate, so I'll drop out. You guys have a wonderful day. And that sounded awkward, what I just said. I didn't mean it like that.
What? Now that Nate's here, goodbye.
Okay.
You leaving?
Oh, no. Well, Nate, you're like the superstar, man.
No, don't let someone's spotlight outshine you.
I don't know about all this bright light, but no, we should do this like every day back in the day. Now all of a sudden it's something new. No, I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed it. What's going on, guys?
Yeah, this used to be like the norm. Remember?
Oh yeah, it's nice to meet you, Melissa. Have we met before?
We have. I used to come into Kurt's a lot, and I kind of, when I was up in my fields one time, I kind of was like, you guys need to look into this thing one time. And you guys both rebuffed me. And I was like, okay, now I feel stupid.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, I always have a way of making myself look bad. Like what I just said a minute ago, I will step in it every time. I just have a way of doing that.
So do I. So we're in good company.
I'm very impressed by your trajectory in life. You really did a wonderful thing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's funny because it's now looking back, it's like now I miss, you know what I miss? I miss those times where we used to do 24-hour live streams and just talk about nothing, and everybody used to cycle in from the G-Mans to the True Empiricisms to the Dragnauts. It was fun. It was great times.
Yeah, we'd have such a big like it would be like Bert Poole, let's have some serious discussion, and then all of a sudden it's like G-Man's just like blocked half the hangout and made a scene, like it was kind of good. It was fun.
G-Man's doing Debate Coliseum again.
Yeah, I've been in one. I've been in one, so just to try to give him some support. Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
I go back and listen to the Nadia's Room Debate Coliseums all the time, Nate. I love them.
Yeah, they were. It's amazing how but again, I think personalities and time, it makes people drift apart. Because I never thought I would even be anywhere near, the YouTube kind of cred I kind of lucked into. So.
Thank you, Stacey. If I didn't thank you before, I think I did, but I just kind of went on this like, I was reading your thing. Also, thank you, Nikki, for the super sticker. I know you were always supportive and always kind, for sure. So I know it's really late for you, so awesome. Yeah, I remember you as when you used to come in and debate, because I was on the opposite fence as you. You used to come in pretty soft as like, I'm just asking questions and a little more open-handed, and you didn't really go for the theist throats like a lot of people. You tended to let people, almost like a Socratic method, let people kind of talk about what they believe in and why they believe, and you took a very like low-key approach, I noticed.
Yeah, because I've always thought about me being a non-believer. I've always thought about it as 90% of the planet believes in this thing that I don't. So what do they see that I'm not seeing? Because it's hard to make the argument that the minorities, the rational ones, and the majority are not rational. So that's what I always go into those conversations trying to see, there's something these people experience. It's something these people have reason to. This thing is real. This thing exists. This thing affects their daily lives. And I wanted to figure out, can someone show me that this thing is real based on some type of evidence, something that can convince me. And I'm still looking to be convinced. But at this point now, I think it's kind of it's just fairy tale, unfortunately. But I always want to be open to being convinced, if that makes sense.
I don't think it's possible to convince. I'm like Spackle. I'm a Christian deist, although there's a huge spectrum of Christian deists, so I'm sure we agree on some things and disagree on others. But nonetheless, I don't think there is a way to convince either way. So I just have my faith. I don't try to debate that issue necessarily, although I do believe there are many issues within it that can be debated.
Yeah, I agree with the individualized, hey, I believe what I believe for the reasons why I believe it. It's totally fine. But I also think that Christianity is in a lot of these religions, want you to go out and have an answer. I think in the Bible it says something about have an answer or be able to explain the position. And I do think it's reasonable to ask someone, well, why do you believe in this, and what's the reason for you to believe it? Um, it always well, the part that always fascinates me about these conversations is also, I'm not trying to ask the person to convince me on the spot. I'm actually trying to convince myself with evidence. And I think one of the things that I honestly believe is that being convinced is compulsory, right? I'm not convinced because I say I want to believe this, right? You can't force me to believe something. I'm convinced because the evidence has brought me to a conclusion, right? Oh, this is obvious. Water's wet, for instance. So I think convincing is based on whether you've seen enough to be convinced, and what you've, or with your background, your education, and then is this enough to convince you this is true? And I don't think we make that choice. I think we're compelled to believe if
I
there's
think
enough evidence.
I think psychology aligns with what you're saying a little bit. It says that people make decisions first, usually based on feelings. Now, that feelings can be like things that have happened in front of you, and the evidence and the experiences that you have, but you actually have a feeling about it first, kind of like an intuition, and like the emotion spectrum is quite large. And without even realizing it, you're making a decision based on your feeling about it. And then retroactively, your cognition comes online and rationalizes it and makes sense of it. Um, and and I think that's really interesting from a psychological perspective. Now we can go through. You mentioned that you can't change what you believe and stuff like that, but I think you can change a little bit about your thinking, right? A little bit.
Yeah, and I think you change your thinking through education. I think you change because, like, for instance, when you're children, you have less education, you have less knowledge, so you believe more outlandish things, and then the more educated you become, the less. I think the Bible says when you're a child, you believe in childish things. When you're an adult, you believe adult, things with as an adult. And I think that comes through. But I still think the convincing of these things is compulsory, right? When you're a kid, you're convinced by compulsion. You're not choosing to believe in it. And then when you're an adult, when you either reject those beliefs or believe in different things, I think that's also compulsory. There's just enough evidence, whatever that may be. It may be convincing to me or somebody else, but whatever that amount is, you're more likely to believe it.
I was raised by a very staunch atheist. I was raised, and I was an atheist, and I became Christian. But I believe in all types of science, everything science. I believe in everything astrophysics and health, and I don't take the Bible literally at all. In my opinion, it's allegorical. So that's why I think I get along more with, but the problem of evil, I believe I could debate the problem of evil. And I haven't really heard it debated too effectively on YouTube. That's my opinion.
Yeah, problem of evil. I don't know. People sort that out differently. I think grotesque evil is the big one, right? The problem of grotesque evil. Stacy, if you could say hi
Yeah.
for me, I just need to make sure that's actually you.
Natural evil.
Stacy's mom.
Yeah, like why would God kill babies and all that? I don't think God kills babies.
Yep. Stacy, is that you? Fix your mic.
See, I also think too, it's interesting because the type of Christianity you described, I think, is it's a minority view in terms of just overall Christianity. Like Catholics, even most Protestants wouldn't believe the Bible is as, you know, the Christians who I know generally, there are certain things in the Bible that they interpret more broadly, and there are certain things they interpret very strictly. And I think we go through this in our society today, right? If you talk about homosexuality, for instance, um, a lot of Christians in the United States interpret that to be very like, this is a no, blah, 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 blah. But then you talk about eating shellfish. It's like, well, maybe not, So it's one of those few documents where I think each group, because when someone says they're a Christian, my next question is like kind of what type, because so it's almost like each
It's so broad.
Yeah, and each one can be so different, because you can have two Christians in a room that believe totally different things, but they're both Christian, So it's I think it really depends on each individual person. It really does.
I agree with you, but you know what's wild, Nate? I am naive. I don't think I'm stupid, but I'm naive sometimes. I didn't realize how California was so much different from the rest of the country.
Oh, yeah. It's a rude awakening.
Oh, my goodness. But I haven't run into so much conservativeness until I started seeing the world open up when I started my first YouTube channel about 5 years ago. And I was just shocked that, in California, most Christians are like me. Even Catholics. My sister's Catholic. And I was just shocked. She converted to Catholicism, but I was just shocked.
Yeah, California does have its share of more open Christians. However, I would say, being that I worked in the Methodist Church for a long time, which is more open. I've also been a Baptist too, which is not open at all. I'd say that there's pockets of conservatism definitely in California. I'm in San Diego, which is like almost like a 50-50. And then if you go to Orange County, that's conservative. But if you go to LA proper, that's liberal. If you go to San Francisco, it's liberal. If you go to Fresno, it's conservative again. Like it just kind of bops back and forth. But the Christianity flavor, even conservative Christians, you would call them like moderates.
Yeah.
They might go, being gay is a mental illness. They might say something like that, but they're not going to go, being gay means that the government ought to stone you. They're not going to be that extreme.
There's Laguna Beach and all the churches there. There's Huntington Beach and all the churches there. They all had, I was there in the 80s and I attended, and I'm queer and my uncle was gay, and we attended openly. It was wild. It never came up. It never was a thing.
Yeah. So
and he died of AIDS, and they all took care of him. We were all taking care of him,
Yeah. Yeah, you weren't othering the person.
Not at all. In fact, most of the congregation, the guys were starting to pass away. So it was just an open thing. And then Laguna Beach, of course, and I moved to that area from the more northern part. But I don't know. It just never occurred to me. So naive, I guess. The rest of the country.
When you don't travel, like for instance, like when I was a kid, we didn't really travel around a lot. So at a point, I thought everywhere was just like New York or where we were at. So, and I think of most people who don't travel to other places probably have that real internalized, because that's all you know.
I was surprised as a high schooler, because I mostly when I was younger, I'd been to Mexico, and I'd been California, up the state, been to Arizona, been to Nevada, but I'd never been in the very white states. I'm going to say it. And so when I went up to a couple of places where it was I think the first state I went to where I was this is very white centric was Colorado, actually, which now it's getting a little more mixed, but it was really different to me. I just noticed because in San Diego, it's just kind of a melting pot. We're in an international city. We have a lot of Hispanic folks, huge Hispanic community. And it's just normal for me to not see a sea of white people. And then I go to Colorado, and I've been to the Pacific Northwest, where I'm like, whoa, this is so different. And even then, and that's just one example of how things are different. So you mentioned New York. New York's a melting pot. Huge international city, lots of cultures mixed together, lots of ethnicities, lots of belief systems mushed together. So you're going to have so much exposure than say somebody that's in maybe Iowa or certain places in Colorado or, like, Wyoming, and so it is fascinating because I used to think that like everybody was sort of like, particularly in Christendom, like people were kind of moving forward and progressing, but like it doesn't seem like that's always the case everywhere. So I don't know. It's interesting to see that mix of, I don't know, tug and pull there.
There's this like little quandary going on with New York now, where even though you're right, it's one of the most diverse cities in the country, but New York is also the top city in discrimination when it comes to schools and children. So we're the most, well, not discriminated. What's the word I'm looking for? The most segregated school system in America is the New York City school system. But that school system represents the most diverse city in America. So how do you have that dichotomy? In one instance,
Is it money?
extreme segregation when it comes to the school system, then but
Mhm.
the other, but yet you still have the most diverse city. Well, there's a couple of factors. There's du jour, where black people want to live with black people, white people want to live with white people, so people separate themselves in that way. The second part is finance and funds, because essentially when you go to certain neighborhoods, you know the average African American household is making what, 25,000. The average white household is making 125,000. So that difference is going to naturally separate people. You may have one or two people who can make it to that level, but even that, sometimes you'd rather live with your own people. So I'm thinking it's a very interesting mix, but the one of the biggest factors and the reason why the New York City school system is the most the one that has the most discrimination is the fact that when we had the civil rights movement, the southern states were the ones that had all of the white schools versus black schools. So the federal government went down to the southern states and forced them to unsegregate. You guys have to mix. You guys got to integrate the school systems, while the northern school systems, which were just as segregated, didn't have to do it. And that's what got now you got to the point where some of the most diverse schools are down south, but the schools up here in New York are number one on the list for being segregated.
Here we have the problem of, I don't want to say gerrymandering, that's not the word, but it's zoned in a way where rich schools get a lot of funding because it's based on property tax. And so we have that property tax thing where, like, you can literally go school by school, zone by zone, and figure out which schools have money, which kids are doing incredibly well. And then the schools that aren't doing incredibly well, that don't have a lot of money, don't have a lot of programs, those are in the poor neighborhoods. And those poor neighborhoods oftentimes have a lot of folks that are either Black or Hispanic or sometimes Samoan, Islander, and it's terrible. But it almost seems like it's not necessarily, in this case, specifically a race thing as much as a class thing, which, like, money. It's about money and property taxes and things like that. So I was wondering, like, if in New York it has that same problem where property tax does play a role in that. I was just wondering.
Well,
Yeah. Go
no,
ahead.
go ahead.
No,
Well,
go ahead.
I would say, but it has to. When people are separating themselves, it has to play a factor.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's well, there's more breadcrumbs there, right? It's not only the high property taxes. That means you got also high your homes there are going to probably cost more. But then you go back to what's the average salary? What's the average income for a minority family versus what's the average salary or average income for a white family? And those two numbers themselves get you to this discrimination, because if you're a middle class white person making $80,000 a year, you're probably not going to live in the ghetto because the average salary there is $25,000 a year, right? So just because your economic status is keeping you into different areas. As a matter of fact, then you have the problem what happened here in New York with gentrification. For instance, in Harlem, we had the issue here because we have so little land. So we had a street. It's 110th Street. It's world famous. You guys, there's even songs written about it. 110th Street. But on one side of 110th Street is one of the richest neighborhoods, not only in New York but in the world. And we're talking about Central Park West. Then on the other side of that, literally on the other side of the street, is one of the poorest neighborhoods in the United States. It's crazy. Just one street. You cross the street one side, and you cross the street the other side, and you're two. But now that reality is that when New York has a housing crisis, so people from that rich neighborhood were like, well, hell, if the apartments across the street are maybe $1,000 a month, and I'm paying $6,000 a month, why don't I just cross the street? And that started happening in New York City, where now the neighborhood, the same neighborhood I'm talking about, went from being 80% African American to about 30% African American. And the average rent went from, it was I think $1,200 a month to about $3,000 a month. And the schools got better, crime went down, the neighborhood got really good, but the poor people couldn't afford to stay there because there was a cost. So I think that was one of the things that kind of drove that's driving this segregation.
That's hilarious that it's like a street away. Like usually you'll see sort of like a zone where it's like, this is like the sort of up and coming nice neighborhood next to the nice neighborhood adjacent, not across the street.
But that just shows you how tight New York is, because the island is, Manhattan Island has like millions of people, but it's only like 11 square miles. So it's not that big at all.
Yeah, there's no room for gradation from place to place. It probably was set by school district, I would bet, is where the cutoff line was for that street.
Yeah.
Back when I was watching Shanny and Rev, I was curious whether or not G-Man had the mineral rights, because it's the only place, that area is literally the only place. Okay, I'm getting tired now. What's the coal? Anthracite. That's the only place in our country where they still mine for anthracite. So I was curious whether or not Rev had those mineral rights and whether or not they knew it, because you can still sell or lease your land to independent companies. So I found out that they're not allowing any longer, you cannot own private property in Pennsylvania unless you are a corporation that's going to develop the land. So if somebody dies,
That doesn't make any sense.
nope, it
Mineral
does not. But
rights?
it has to do with taxes. So they're trying to make it so that if somebody dies, they can't just pass the land off to their benefactor. It has to be a corporation that owns the land. I'll cite it. I'll send it on Twitter.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like they can do that.
I know. I was completely flipped out. I brought it up in one of Kurt's side chats when they were talking about stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It sounds like it's unconstitutional too.
That's what I said. Sorry, I get excited. That's what I said.
Well, I think the state and federal government could set a standard of who you're allowed to sell something to. I don't think that's unconstitutional. It'd be that sucks.
But it's like, if it's my property, like, I should be able to give that property or sell that property to whoever I want.
Well,
Right?
if that's, it all depends. Like if you're talking about a nuclear site or something like that, what is it, the power plant? It's like, should we regulate who you can sell that to?
Well, I'm talking about personal property, like a house with a yard. Maybe I have an acre of land and I want to pass that on to my family when I go. Like, I should be allowed to do that.
Yeah, I think, well, the general way the government does it is that there's like a takings clause. So generally you can do whatever you want with your land, but there is some instances where the government can step in and say, okay, well, you can't just do whatever you want with this, right? And that those usually taking close. So usually they have to pay you for that if they can do that. Or when you buy it, there's like the stipulation that you can only sell it with with that stipulation. So it's not just cut and dry. It's like, hey, I wish I can do whatever I want with it. There are some regulations, and they're allowed to regulate.
But isn't that like what zoning's for? So are they going to change zoning for all of Pennsylvania?
They can change zoning laws. They can do, yeah.
It was
So they would have to change Pennsylvania to all commercial zoning.
Well, no, because zoning is just a system. It's like a quick and fast rule of thumb, right? They've planned out where they want certain things to be, but they don't want to have to deal with everything at a micromanaged level. So they just license it essentially a certain way. This is something different.
Yeah, I'm assuming zoning. Like for instance, Houston has no zoning laws, so you can have a roller coaster by a church. Where in New York they have brownstone, so they like if you're any new buildings, there has to be a brownstone. You can't. There's like and then San Francisco has that thing too, where like all the houses have to look like the rest of the houses. You can't just come there and build a glass house or something like that. So there are restrictions on what you can do with your land, and there are restrictions on who you can sell it to in some instances.
I just want to point out, hello everybody, by the way. I just want to point out, Ox said there it's all stolen land, and I couldn't agree more, Ox. It's all stolen land. It all belongs to King Charles. So just saying.
This
thanks
is
everybody.
Simos. Direct
Nice to
all
see you all.
complaints to Simos.
Please do. Sir Simos, obviously.
Sir Simos. Houston has very loosey-goosey building laws, and that's caused them problems. Have you ever looked into that? Like, they're pretty wild building codes and stuff.
I don't think they have any zoning laws. I think that's like their thing. Like you can do whatever you want on your land. So.
And then they have flooding problems, and they're like, "What's happening?" And then it's really different mismatched buildings and things. Like it's I don't know. I was watching something about it, and I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, I think that's like a 60 Minutes or something about like, do we have a place with no zoning laws? I was like, what?
Well, wait, do they have no zoning laws, or do they still have like building like codes? Like I'm assuming they're not going to let you build a house on top of a tiny stick, and then endanger your neighbor's house.
Oh yeah. No. When we're talking about zoning laws, it's like zoning laws is in other words saying this area is for residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
This area is a business district, so you could build only commercial stuff there.
I just heard the do whatever you want with your property. I was like, okay, wait a second.
No, sir, but you're not building a watchtower.
Yeah, no, you're not allowed to put a stack of uranium ore on your property.
I feel like Serb could like do spite houses really good.
To quote Jill, libtards. Ugh.
Yeah, no.
You know what? We were talking about the most homogenized states, the ones with the whitest people. It's Vermont and Maine. Vermont is number 1 on the list with 95.6% of the population to be white. Maine is number 2, 95.4, followed by West Virginia and New Hampshire. So 3 of the top 4 are all in the Northeast. And New York is in the Northeast too. That's crazy.
It's those damn Yankees. and Wasps.
What about upstate New York? Is that
that's very homogenized too.
Yeah.
It's like all the minorities just got to live in New York City, and then everything else around them is 98% white.
Those Northeast white people are very progressive until a Mexican decides to move next door. Then it's a problem.
That is kind of true. They're like, but not next door. It's like, what? That's a problem here in California. Like, there's like, liberal Californians, and like, we ought to help the homeless. We ought to help, folks that are, not my race or not my belief system. And then they're like, but not next to me. like there is a definite it's a big, huge hypocrisy thing.
One of my old professors in Chicago just released a study on the suburbs around, not like all around major population centers in California. And according to him, he identified the biggest issue with homelessness and high cost of housing is that every time there's a tiny chance of building even a small apartment building in any of these communities, they vote it down, no matter how progressive they are.
Well, also, it's not just like the mean voters, like, oh, that's cruel of you. You don't want, these folks as your neighbors. But also, there is a lot of special interest in building and property values and stuff like that, and it's incredibly corporate. Like it's not. You have your homeowners. That's small fries here. Like we are losing, single home housing quicker than anything. Like they'll go over to like the beach. They'll go to those old cottages like you see from like Top Gun. The Top Gun cottage where he sleeps with that girl. And then it turned into a pie shop. But they'll go into those cottages, they'll rip them all up, and they'll turn them into apartment complexes and condos, like in a heartbeat. And there's international organizations that grab these. They're not even from the States. I'm gonna just bitch for a minute. We have European international real estate companies, Chinese real estate companies, Russian real estate companies. They come in, they buy huge bits of land, and then like they have these huge companies, and then that's what we're paying into as renters. It's disturbing to me. I don't know.
Yeah, in the bubble that's being created once again.
Yeah.
By the housing market far exceeding wages. Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah. And of course that then that the rents are going up, so that puts even worse pressure.
San Diego had a 20% cost of living increase within 4 months last year.
Ooh, no wonder. No
Food
wonder
and
everyone was
housing.
stealing from the stores.
Yeah, it's and no wonder why there's a lot of people that were on that edge that lost their housing.
Scary in America.
Yeah, there's a giant demographic shift happening.
Well, I think like I'm considered the working poor. I'm at the bottom of middle class, right? And so like, I have a white collar job that's kind of in the blue collar category, and like an office worker. And then my husband is a tradesman who actually makes a lot more than I do, and construction. And he's like a contractor. And so like, we do okay, but we're in that zone of like, we're always struggling. Like it's just never going to stop. And so like, I think a lot of people in our position get really, really frustrated because they're not poor enough to get any financial help from the government. They're wealthy enough to get taxed up the wazoo and work. And then they start getting embittered. Like they start getting very frustrated because they're struggling, and they know that they're 1 or 2 paychecks away if anything goes wrong from getting evicted. And it's upsetting. It's really upsetting.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you petition a federal government very far away to create programs for the poor. They don't take into account that the cost of living is not the same in every place.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also an embitterment too. I don't know how New York deals with their inflation, because y'all also are very inflated. But there's like a California exodus pretty much. And so like what happened is like you'll see that we flowed into Colorado first. and then Oregon, Washington State, Idaho, Arizona, and we're just kind of flowing out. Texas, that's another one. That's a big one. And there's sort of this embittered, like, oh my gosh, because we have so much buying power. If you're an owner and we sell this expensive house for this overinflated price, and then we run over to the South, we buy out of pocket a pretty okay house or a nice house. And now all of a sudden we are destroying their housing market too. It's just nuts. It's just so nuts.
I thought that was true with New York, but not anymore though. Like it's been crazy in the city, and it's remember COVID, when COVID hit, and everybody kind of had to leave the city and stay home. So there was like so many empty apartments. So apartments went down in price, like tremendously down. You could get a 2-bedroom in like a really good neighborhood in Manhattan for like $2,500 a month, which was astronomical at the time, astronomically low. Now they signed those people to 1-year leases. Now most of those leases are now coming up, and they're doubling their rent. So, and
It
it's
should be
because it's
illegal to
crazy.
double. It should be illegal to double.
Unless you rent stabilized, they can. And these people have literally, like, you have people crying. You can even hit it on YouTube. You see stories about people crying, like, I thought this was going to be my forever apartment, but no, because they're, it's just so many people now have moved back because a lot of those companies were like, yo, we pay for this office space. It's staying at home is okay, but we pay for this office space, so it's got to be utilized.
I pleaded with my apartment manager because our rent went up so high, and I'm just like, this is a humongous, like, ouch to us. Like, is there anything that we can do? And they're like, absolutely not. My apartment manager said, if you leave and move out, I can charge $300 more than what I'm asking for you. And I was like, well, that's a big fuck you. Like, and that's just the going thing is like, okay, well, we're not hurting to have someone fill your shoes. But here's the other thing that California is hurting for, and I don't know how New York is doing, but we're hurting for working class now. Now they're hurting for who's going to fix our plumbing, who's going to do our electricity, who's sewering our food. Like, they're always short now. They're constantly short.
They are here too, but you know what that did? That made them more valuable. Them more expensive. Now the price for being like a hostess or a waiter is like going out through the roof because you're right. There are less people to do those things because there's less people who can afford to live here who do those things. But now the people who are here who can do are few and far between. So now they get to charge more, right? Hey, if I need you to come tomorrow, I'll pay you $100. Well, I'll pay you $1,000. Where are you gonna go?
Yeah, they're only paying for more rent though. They're not paying to get more money. I mean, the value that they actually get out of their job hasn't gone up.
Stacy, if you have a large enough land, let me know if I can rent a small piece and build a small house, a little tiny house. I'll pay you as a landlord, man.
1 by 2.
just to let everyone know, the 3-bedroom, 1.5-bath house I rent out on the back end of my property, I can only rent for like $700 a month.
What?
Just to throw that out there.
Seriously?
Yeah. Even around here, people don't want to live in the middle of nowhere unless you grew up out here. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
Right, it's not inside a city. But even inside the nearest town to me, it's still like about $1,000 for a house that size.
Sheesh.
Oof, that's actually pretty good.
I would love to tear my house down, rebuild it, and build like a small guest house in my yard. Because my yard is big. Yeah, my yard is big enough that we could do that.
Tear down your house, build 6 tiny houses, and make your job just to rent out the ones you're not using.
Yeah, well, I'd tear down my house, rebuild it into like a 5-bedroom house, because right now it's only 3-bedroom. And then, yeah, and we still would cover the same amount of space that's already covered by like the patio and stuff. So there's still room for like another little guest house.
It's funny.
Weird. Well, just to let you know about this, right, which I know is not an American problem at all, but it will be one day, presumably, which is to say that 2 major cities in the UK are Liverpool and Manchester, and they're probably about 100 miles apart, but there's now no distinctive boundary between the two, because literally people are just keep building on the edge of the cities to make them bigger and bigger, and now they've merged together. So, I mean, there used to be rural ground, ground, land between the two with farms, etc. But all the farms got bought up and developed into suburbia. So now, literally from coast to coast, it is one major city now.
That's what I hate about here. It's like it's the desert, and they're still building more and more houses, and I'm like, We have a water crisis. Knock it off. We
Yeah.
don't want more people here.
Yeah, that was the thing in the 90s, wasn't it? With all those golf courses getting built for corporate events, etc., in like these really stupid places where clearly you cannot have a golf course.
I just saw a news story about that. How a whole town, and a nice town, I think over by Scottsdale, has their water shut off, and they're arguing about water rights. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that's close to Scottsdale.
That's a major golf course, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
don't think it's that close to Scottsdale. Look.
Yeah, I know it was like a new housing development. They're nice houses. I'd say well, here in this city it'd be upper middle class. It could be regular middle class over there. I don't know because it's a little cheaper there. But I'd say that it was a nice place. Like people are like, I just bought this house as my forever home, and there's no water, and like people are taking showers elsewhere at the gym, and they're trucking in water.
Have you guys ever watched a documentary on how they irrigated? They took all the irrigation from Central California and rerouted it down to LA area.
Mm.
It's so horrifying. And it breaks my heart. They literally took all the water from homes, towns, so many towns that people, it made them, they killed a ton of people. I'm so articulate. I just love how articulate I am.
Yeah. I think there's very few reasons to take up arms. TP. To take up arms and violence. But one of them is you've done something where I can't drink water anymore.
You think, yeah. And it was all indigenous or Native American people.
Of course, we always fuck over the Native American people. Always, we're awful. We are really awful.
They're still getting it. You know, you voted Spackle this last election.
They didn't. Oh my God! Right? You know? It was the casino shit. Yeah. Oh my gosh! Yes.
But I was just kind of like, why? Just let them have whatever they want.
Yeah. They were just like, it's all about trying to take money from them.
Right. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know.
I just want to say bye to everybody properly, but I have to go make dinner because we're old. We have dinner at 4:00. You guys have a great night, and thanks for having me on, Spackle.
Yeah, thanks for popping in.
Bye, Melissa.
Bye, everybody.
Great.
Bye, Melissa.
Hey, I gotta get out of here too. I got some kids I gotta feed, so I will see you guys a little later.
Well, before you go, Nate, just tell us what's the local beef you're going through at the moment.
Oh, the boozy.
Is everything okay? How can we help? You know what I mean?
Oh yes. Well, no, I don't know. Twitter's just kicked me off, but I'm actually not. I'm not suspended or anything. It's just so I can't log in, but I may be part of there's a whole other like they said there were some bugs in Twitter for the past couple of days, and so there's a whole bunch of people that allegedly can't log in. So I don't know what. So I've been in contact with Twitter support, and they seem they can't fix the problem. So right now, I can't see any DMs. I'm locked out of my account. But my account seems all right though. Like when you go to it, it seems like it's fine. But I've totally locked out. So they're working on it. And we got a settlement, and I think we got a settlement offer today. But
what from the
from Boozy?
From Boozy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we'll see. We'll see what's up because we were still negotiating. So.
Okay. Well, I'm following keenly. I may not be as active in the chat as I used to be, but I am there from time to time. So.
Yeah, it's always some beef. I'm getting too old for this stuff, but it's great. It's great fun now. It's great fun.
Hello, Nate.
You love it. Come on, it's like being 21 again.
It's fun but I'm not 21 though. That's the problem. I'm too old. Everybody, listen. Take care. It was good to see you guys. I got to try to catch Mouty stream on Sundays.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the door. Later, guys.
Bye.
Have a good night.
See you later. He has not been doing any recently, but
yeah, he's kind of taking a break, I think. But yeah.
So hello.
Hey, one of the things I like about Nate is he doesn't discriminate about like like, well, you're now a smaller creator. I'm not going to talk to you. like he's
You're a
always
what?
been really cool. Like I remember you from back in the days. Yay.
An ex
So-
what?
You're less important than I am. I am now not talking to you anymore.
That happens a lot when people blow up on YouTube. They're like, well, goodbye.
Oh no.
He's always been very cool.
Yeah,
very
not
cool.
Nate. No, yeah. That's never been Nate's OP, as it were. So not
I
like
have-
some.
I have a
Like
friend who's like, why do only natives get casinos? And I was like, why not? Like, after hundreds of years of being screwed over, why not let them have their casinos? Like,
Well, we gave a lot of them land that really is difficult
Crap.
to farm.
Yeah.
Might be beautiful. Like, I mean, like there's certain areas like in the Dakotas are beautiful. Monument Valley is really beautiful, but you can't farm in Monument Valley. You know, like there's a lot of things that you can't do where you couldn't do elsewhere. So yeah, like we chose land for them, said live here. Like, why can't they run a casino? Let them.
I thought
Yeah.
it was to do with federal laws, wasn't it? About setting casinos up and
About
But I mean,
laws
Nevada
don't-
gets
Oh,
a
no.
casino.
laws-
The federal
laws
government
don't-
has no laws against setting up casinos. States do.
Oh, is it state laws? Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
state. So like Nevada, like it's all loosey goosey about casinos. You know, it's not just over here in my city. There's like about 4 reservations that have casinos, and so
And while reservations are inside states, the states have no authority over the reservation.
That's
Right.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so like the ones by us that aren't on the reservations, they're on the water. So that way they bypass the state laws.
like the movie Ozark or the show
Yes.
Ozarks with
Like
the
if you go
steamboats.
to like Tunica and stuff like that, a lot of those
Yeah.
are on technically on water. Because the ones on the reservations don't serve alcohol. So we usually go to the other ones.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, all of ours. I think all of them serve alcohol. 2 of them you can smoke inside, and then one of them is a smoke free.
Smoke didn't bother me nearly as much until I quit smoking.
Mm.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I tell you what, though, I go to the res for my smokes.
I would too.
Definitely cheaper.
Now, I'm
if
ready
I still
to fight.
smoke, that's where I would be.
I'm ready to fight now when I smell someone smoking. I'm like,
Like, yeah, I don't want to turn I didn't want to turn into one of those like annoying people that like harps on it, but yeah, it smells bad. I don't know how I ever did it.
yeah.
Yeah, but can you just say if you're walking into a casino or a bar to get drunk and you're complaining about someone smoking, you're worried about the wrong bad decision.
I mean,
No,
So
I don't
for-
think so.
for smoking, for me, like I'm asthmatic, I can tolerate alcohol. Like, and obviously, if I'm not like a raging alcoholic or driving drunk, like, you know, where smoking, on the other hand, I mean, like I immediately have an effect. So I don't know. Like, if I have a choice, I always choose the non-smoking ones.
I don't think you can smoke in any of ours really because they have to be 21 or over if they allow smoking inside. And a lot of people take like their 18-year-old friends with them to be the designated drivers.
Oh my god, this is a total change of topic. Did anyone see the demon woman statue they erected
Yes.
in honor of Ruth Bader Ginsburg for her support for abortion?
Let me guess. Is that the Church of Satan that really funded that? I have a feeling.
I haven't looked into it yet, but that's like top tier. It's one of those things where I can't
massive
tell if
trolling.
it's a troll or not.
It kind of is. So it's like a twofer. Like I bet you, as per usual, it has to do with Satanism. And because I just have a feeling like they're the ones that always like to put these over weird, uncomfortable statues up. I just have a feeling like it's on purpose.
I mean, if it was me and there was some sort of group in charge of deciding what statue it would be, it has to be Moloch. So I don't know why they
Oh
would
my
do.
god.
Yeah, I don't know why they would do like a demon woman.
Oh my
But
god, that would be horrible, and it would drive everybody insane. So Moloch's the god that had little ovens inside of it, and you would give your firstborn or your child sacrifice to Moloch, and you put the kid in the oven. It's disgusting. And this is like an ancient god that people worshipped kind of in the Sumerian Canaanite area. So people that know their Bible know who Moloch is. So if you were to make a Moloch statue, they would flip out because to them, they equate Ruth with abortion, and they always reference Moloch. They always reference Moloch. Or
that would
Pharaoh.
have been
Yeah.
not that this isn't a troll, but that would have been a better troll.
Oh, that'd be so fucked. That'd be so horrible.
I think it's so messed up just on its own. Whether it's a troll or not. Like, if it's a troll, like,
yeah.
why? Like, that's the stupidest thing you can do.
But I'm still not 100% sure it's a troll. I think there's a decent possibility it's just someone that's kind of tone deaf.
I'm looking it up because I saw the statue and thought this is a really terrible idea. But then I thought, well, maybe this is the Satanic Church because they do these weird things constantly. So now I'm kind of looking through trying to find it. Let's see here. Yeah, this is the Satanic Church.
Oh, it was? Okay.
I think so.
I think that's just a big misstep on their part.
Oh, wait, hang on. The artist is Pakistani-American artist Shazai Zakandar.
Yeah, but who paid for it?
Someone called it satanic, but is it actually satanic? I just want to know.
I mean, you look at it. Like,
Looks pretty satanic-y to me.
Yeah, it's pretty goat-like. Let's just say.
Baphomet. Isn't that the goat?
Yeah.
Baphomet.
Yeah.
So the guy says it's meant to symbolize a fierce woman and a form of resistance in a space that has historically been dominated by patriarchal representation.
So what do the tentacle feet and the tentacle shoulders mean?
I have no idea, but I guess art is subjective.
It's so gross.
So.
and the goat demon horns with like, why are all these other elements?
Well, I mean, it doesn't look anything like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, like even in the face.
I know, like, why isn't a statue of Ruth Bader Ginsburg like standing up, grabbing her crotch, and flipping off the crowd?
I would be way more down with that than this. Way more.
My artistic level is on crowns, and I could probably make a statue that resembled her more than this one does.
I don't know. This isn't a very good Daily Mail, but I just like the picture. There you go. Like, look at this picture. It's got tentacle arms. And it's got tentacle feet down here, which for some reason grosses me out more than the tentacle shoulders. I don't know why. I don't know why that bothers me more. Out of everything, it's the tentacle part that bothers me more than the horns. Even though the horns are most overt.
If you keep scrolling down on that article, though, there's some pretty funny Twitter responses to it.
Was there any public input whatsoever before Satanic Golden Medusa Demon Tentacle Arms was installed atop the downtown courthouse? Justice is no longer blind. It's ugly and stupid. What a visual desecration of a landscape.
Yeah, I don't see many good sources.
Oh my god, they photoshopped the arms on top.
That also is a terrible statue.
Okay,
like
that's
butt from
just
behind.
I'm
mean, it looks like somebody from the front. It looks like somebody's holding a dick or something. I don't know.
Jeez. No, they didn't even replace the old statue. They kept the old statues, and there's this rando here that doesn't
Yeah,
match.
that's what one person was complaining about. They're like, look how crappy this looks compared to the craftsmanship of the other statues. Like, who did this?
These all look like kind of like Roman statues, and then it's like, hi, random. I'm an alien.
It looks like I asked my niece to make you a person out of Play-Doh. And she's like, here you go. This is what a person looks like.
Jeez. So yeah, that the actual statues up here. Yeah. So I don't get it. I don't get it. Ugh. And the problem is like every time like I try to calm my very conservative evangelical family, like the end of the world doesn't need to necessarily be happening. This isn't the new world order. These idiots make these statues, and they're like, clearly.
And you know it's gonna be like the only thing you ever pay attention to when you walk down the street. At least I would, because you have one thing that's a different color from everything else. So like every time I walk down that street, I would just be looking at that, really mad that it wasn't the same color as the rest of the other statues, at least.
Yeah, it's like gray, gold. Or bronze. I guess that would be bronze. Yeah. Ooh.
I mean, I'm sure his mother's very proud of him.
Mindy, good to see you. It's been forever. Mindy's very old school. She's been around the YouTube streets.
That's actually what color my hair is now.
Like the statue?
No,
Oh, Mindy's color.
Yes.
Ah. Is that cobalt blue, maybe?
Well, mine was called sapphire blue, but I just bought the one that you didn't have to bleach your hair to get it to take.
Stacy's got a rock and roll lifestyle.
I'm like the least rock and roll person too. Like I wear cardigans every day, have no tattoos or piercings.
So your one edge is your hair?
And only recently. I guess I was just like, well, it's not like I'm going to be 20 again, so I might as well do it now. Because, you know, everyone's like, aren't you too old for that? Like, yes, I'm too old for it, but I'll never be younger than I am now, so.
Yeah, sometimes it's fun. During the pandemic, like a lot of people did things. I put like temporary blue in my hair, and it like came out like really, really bright because at the time I was gray. But yeah.
I did like a mermaid wash a few weeks ago, and it was temporary, and I was like, oh, this is going to be so cute. And it was only cute until it started to fade, because when my brown mixed with the like foam green of the mermaid wash, it made my hair look like dirty dishwater.
Ew.
And so that's why I'm blue. I was like, okay, I can't do this. It looks so dingy and gross.
Mage says, saw how religious conservatives were flipping out over Sam Smith's performance at the Grammys. I mean, that was pretty satanic-y for sure.
But did you see they were blaming the earthquake on that? They're like, Sam Smith does this, and then the earthquake hit Turkey.
What did Turkey have to do with that? If
I'm
anything,
like,
they're more conservative, and they're like me, like, oh no.
Like, all right, Russ, bro. I'm assuming you're part of them.
So like that, I watched that performance and was like, oh my God, are they for real? And then I thought about it and I was like, and then I wrote somebody on Twitter and I said, well, it's not much unlike Carmen. Like, you know, Satan bite the dust, Carmen. Do you know who Carmen is?
Well, isn't the name of this song like Unholy or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I wonder how he made that jump to dress as Satan.
And then somebody's like, I want to be that guy. You're in the middle with all the girls. And someone else said, no, thank you. I don't want to be humped by the girl from The Ring. That's disgusting. I was like, oh yeah, it does look like the girl from The Ring. That's really weird.
I just feel old when people start talking about like music from. I'm like, isn't that called unholy? I think I've heard it on TikTok. Because I just don't listen to the radio. I feel so lost.
Yeah, all the thirst trap people, like if you end up in that algorithm, like I watch it and I chuckle at people. And so the main one is the thirst trap one for like the one that is literally him singing. They use that. And then there's another one where they rewrite it for lesbians and they put it that on there. And like this is a whole TikTok thing where like I don't know, I would guess hundreds of videos are made with this song. And it's almost always like before, after. So like I might look like a normal person, but I'm really a dominatrix. Or it might be like, oh, this is me just chilling, but I'm really beautiful. Or whatever. There's always like a juxtaposed, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, we all look better with makeup on. No surprise there.
I don't know. I don't think I TikTok right. I don't know. I'm too old.
I honestly never go off the For You page. So like, I don't even know what it shows me and why it shows it to me. I just now realized the other day that you could switch over and actually just see the people that you've already said you liked. That's how good I am at TikTok.
I don't know. I made like 3 or 4 TikTok videos. And then like I was like, okay, I'm done.
I think I accidentally reposted somebody the other day and I didn't know what that meant and I didn't know how to undo it. And so I was like, I'm just leaving TikTok for today because I don't even know what that was that I reposted. And if it was even, it could have been something that I would never ever be like, yes, I support this.
Oh, great. You're like accidentally reposting something really awful. Oh,
that's what I'm worried about. Like, I'm sure I've just reposted something about how like I don't support equal marriage or something. That's just great.
So I always watch a lot of conservatives, right? Like, and I don't mean like just politically. I mean like on social issues and stuff. And
no, I follow a crap ton of them, especially like the religious conservative ones.
Oh yeah.
I've got a thing for that. I'm like, I probably follow them closer than I do my own friends.
So my algorithm on YouTube is all like Joe Peterson and Peterson's daughter and that awful Pearl person and Ben Shapiro. Like just on repeat. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's
and
so
his
many.
Sister, I'm sure, right?
What's that?
I said, and his sister.
Oh, I know. I didn't know his sister was in the game.
Abby.
Oh, that's his sister?
Yeah, that's Ben Shapiro's sister.
I didn't realize that. I have run across her. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I follow.
She's horrendous.
Oh, she's the worst.
Is she worse than Pearl? Have you seen Pearl? She's horrible.
Like the Pearl, like the pearls.
Oh, let me find her. Except I have to try to not punch my screen. Hang on. Sorry, what I'm trying to do is move. There we go. Okay. I like to have dual monitors, and I was trying to drag one of my things over to the other section. Okay.
So whenever I was trying to call in the first time, it was because Nate was talking about atheism or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just going to say, as much as I'm not a huge fan of Ricky Gervais, but I've always liked how he explained it. And basically it's like, if you believe in God, you don't believe in 999 other gods. And I just don't believe in one more than you do. And that's my, like, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember how many he said, but it was basically that. And I've always liked how he worded that.
Yeah, because we understand as theists or deists that like there's a lot of gods that we reject. Like I reject the existence of Thor. Now I talk to people that believe in the existence of Thor, but I personally reject his existence. So if I can put that hat on and go, I reject the existence of Thor, then I can understand why Amma Rose rejects the existence of Yahweh or Jesus. You know, you might think Jesus is historical or not. I don't know, but like as a deity.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe in, stories that people make up.
So when we wrap our head around like, why are you rejecting my God? Then yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense in that light. So I think it's pretty clever to say it that way.
Yeah, it's like my favorite. It's the only thing I think I even agree with Ricky Gervais on most things, honestly. And I can't remember who it's not John. It wasn't Jon Stewart. What was the other guy's name?
Colbert, Jon Stewart, and
Stephen
then the
Colbert.
other John Oliver.
Stephen Colbert. It was on this. He was on Stephen Colbert's new show that is on regular TV, and he said that to him because, like, Stephen Colbert, was asking him about it, and I was like, yes, that perfectly sums it up.
Okay, I found the most annoying woman on YouTube, and I'm gonna play it for you, and you have to promise not to punch your screen, okay? Okay. I really hate her, but she's in my algorithm all the time now. All right, let's see. All right, I'm gonna just pick one. I don't know if it's a good one or not, but pretty much everything she says is terrible. Let me find it.
Oh,
I hate her. You know who it is. Oh,
yeah, I know who it is.
I don't think I have actually watched Just Girly Things.
She's like as bad as Tate is, if not worse. Let me see.
Oh, then yes, I've heard of her, but no, I have not watched any of her stuff because I have seen somebody describe her as the female Andrew Tate.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm trying to find. Okay, we'll do this. Wait, where's my volume? Shit. Why isn't my volume up? Oh, here it is.
Still don't hear it.
That's all it is? Why are they showing this part?
You gonna give her a like? Doesn't it make you kind of sad that you don't get to see the dislike ratio to the like ratio anymore? Because I'd be super interested to see.
Well, this one's not exciting. She's just kicking somebody off her show. All right, let me see. Let me see if there's another one. There's somewhere I'm like, oh my God, did you just say that? I don't know. Here we go. Here's one.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah, it's silent for everyone else.
Okay, is it not coming in for the sound?
Yeah, no.
At all?
Yeah, we have no sound.
That is so weird. Why is that? Okay, hang on. Stop share. Hi, Pickle.
Well, I heard you guys mention God, so I thought I felt like since I'd been summoned, I'm here.
I did say it 3 times, so.
Well, then we'll move to God because I can't find the Pearl one I'm looking for, and the sound's not cooperating. So, God or no? Yes or no?
That's okay because I was fixing to pull you into like some of the fundy stuff, anyways.
The fundy stuff. Oh my gosh, I've had my share of fundies all over the place for years.
The fundies make my tummy hurt.
You know you love talking about them just as much as I do, Pickle.
All the fundies. It doesn't have to just be like the Mormon fundies. I can talk about all of them. Yeah, we could talk. I legit had a nightmare about Jill Rodriguez the other night. And I was like, where the hell did that come from?
Mamo.
Joe Rodriguez. Who's that?
Jill Rodriguez. Oh, she's a Duggar Hugger wannabe. She's Quiverful. She's
That's
IBLP. Bill Gothard.
She married Josh Duggar's brother-in-law.
Yeah. I dreamt that 2 of her daughters were getting married and that I was hanging out with them pre-marriage.
like the day before, and like they were asking me questions. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I have to answer because I don't want you girls to go into this blindly. And Jill came in and was like, get out of here, you devil. And I was like, you're abusing your kids.
Jill would have never let you in her house, so that dream would never happen.
Nah, brah, I'm too fat for her. I wear pants. I'm cute. She'd be like terrified.
Then she'd make a story later and was like, praise the Lord, I was able to convert another today with one of our tracks that we printed.
Well, you know, I talked to her like legit in real life. Like I have open DMs with her that we've been going back and forth for a couple years.
See, I didn't want to follow her account because she privated it, and I didn't want her to get enough followers so that she could monetize it. So I was like, I'll just wait until
she's trying.
Snark uploads it.
Yeah. I mean, she's pleasant enough superficially, but there's no changing her mind. And you guys know me, I'm pretty easy to get along with, and also I know how to speak with people and educate them without being self-righteous or like shaming. But yeah, after I saw the stuff she just did to Ginger Duggar, I was like, Jill, come on.
I think there was like an Ask Me Anything about her where somebody said like she's actually really nice and she's really good with her kids, but it's like him that's mean.
He's not mean. He's like most, in my experience, in my opinion, like most fundamentalist men, he's very detached. So like he provides, but he's the head of the household. His interactions are mostly on a spiritual level, educationally spiritual level, like the priesthood holder. He's very, you know, he's
like
what
they
he
said in this like Ask Me Anything, like whenever he comes home, like everything in the household just shifts and changes.
That's true. The kids are a little bit, I don't want to say scared because I don't think that's exactly the right word, but they're definitely like deferential to him. Like he is the head of the house.
Well, I
and
mean, if you think about it, they do raise their kids to be scared of them. So that would be a fair way to describe it. 'Cause, you know,
yeah. I mean, it's the appearance thing. Like everything has to appear as being good and wonderful and on the up and up with around dad, because we don't want to cause him worry or undue stress or whatever. That's her dominion. She has, you know, dominion over the household. That's her thing. So she's definitely not as sweet as she portrays herself to be necessarily, but then again, who is? But they're true believers. Like it's not an act. It's not that they're doing, like, arguably, and I know this is horrible, but I don't care. I would say that I doubt that Jim Bob Duggar is truly as much of a believer as much as he's an opportunist. And he saw a way to be able to be in perfect and ultimate control and blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's like that necessarily for them. But yeah, when Ginger's book came out, she did a post, it was a while back, about it. And Jill just jumped right to quoting scripture. And I'm like, Jill, calm down. You don't want to start talking about scripture.
2 cents in too.
Mm-hmm.
Can't stand her. I used to feel bad for her because she's got like the brain tumor or whatever, but somebody needs to take her internet away.
She is, you know, she's a hypocrite as far as I'm concerned. She knows better. That's her, because she feels so wrong about having to submit to her husband, which she'll never admit to. That's her way of maintaining control and asserting herself as dominant and better than everybody else. Please. She is what I like to call a booger. She's a booger.
Anyways, I'm sorry, HolySpackle. We just took over your whole.
Oh no,
Yeah,
don't be sorry. It's a floating topic. So if the topic floats to a different thing, I'm okay with that. Well, I don't know all the Duggars individually. I know I've seen the show a few times, and I don't remember any of the kids' names. But
I mean, me and Pickle could tell you everything about them, but
there's Josh, Jana, John, David, Jill. No, I can name them all.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I remember getting really frustrated how they handled the sex abuse thing. And but I would say that it's not unlike other conservative. I mean,
but I
I'm not
think the motivation is different
Yeah.
for why they
Mhm.
handled it that way. I don't think it was because of anything faith-based or religious. I think it was because they had fame and they knew that a scandal like that would endanger their bank accounts. And I
Well,
think that's 100% all it was about.
even
them.
then, though, they're still levying religion. You have to forgive your abuser. You have to, they're still leveraging religion as the
Of
point.
course.
Yeah.
Well, and some of
Yeah,
this happened before they even had the fame. So some of it does come down to like they do kind of minimize it inside the people that follow the IBLP.
Well, if you go back and watch, listen, this is my favorite topic. If you go back and watch 14 Kids and Pregnant Again, it obviously it's over the span of an entire pregnancy plus another one that happened at the end. So it's several months. And
yeah, and you can see where his hair's shaved in one of them.
Yep,
'cause, like, That's what
exactly.
they,
That was their punishment. He had his head shaved and he had to go work building. They were actually converting an old hospital into a faith-based building. I don't know into what. I can't remember exactly, but
and one time they made him like just dig a hole for a pond or something, right?
yeah, they've done, physical labor. I don't disagree that physical labor can be a deterrent to behaviors, but that's not exactly the behavior that
and it needs to be, you need
yeah.
actual help.
I mean, that's the problem. That's why there's no actual help, because they don't view that kind of thing through a crime scope. They view it as like it was temptation and it was the devil and it was it was the devil's influence, because they don't. This is what I truly don't understand, and it could be a lack of education on my part, but like most Christians believe in like original sin, right? So like we're all born with sin based solely on the original sin concept, right? So you already know that we're imperfect and we're capable of sin, but they truly believe that like the devil makes you sin. Whereas a lot of Christians actually believe that it's like maybe the devil delights in sin. They can be, if you believe literally like true tape letters, they can influence us, but we make that decision because we have free agency, from God himself.
Well, I mean, think about Ginger's book. Like, isn't there like an excerpt in there where she was like, I thought if we listened to secular music, the car was going to crash or something like that?
Yeah, they believe in a lot more intervention on a spiritual level than most people do, which is totally anti-biblical, to be honest. But Josh doesn't have to take the accountability that would lead to him ultimately like getting help and healing, because it's not his fault. It's literally the devil made me do it. So it's all
and
very
everyone's
weird.
like, when is Anna going to leave him? Like, never. Her response to any of this is basically, at least I have a husband.
Well, her response is, it was my fault. I obviously wasn't supporting him enough in the right way, and I wasn't as sexually available or pleasing to him. So she doesn't view it as like a deviancy on his part.
No,
because she doesn't
it's a
see
shortcoming on her. And it says that in
right.
those pamphlets that they grow up learning in their school of the dining room table.
Yeah. They don't see like someone who
well, like Christian counseling that's conservative, like if you are sexually assaulted as a young person or molested, they actually literally tell you as a kid, you're under 18, what role did you play in this?
Right. Well, this is the thing. Like a great example is this. If I, as an adult woman, am assaulted by a man that I am not in even if I was in a relationship, but I'm specifically saying someone I'm not in a relationship with, okay? His wife is going to look at the situation and take it as he was more attracted to me than her, so she's got shortcomings, which is how you can look at a child and think that, but that's literally their train of thought. It's, I didn't cry out. You literally, they say, you have to physically cry out against the assault, or else you're accepting and wanting of it. And God will save you if you're worthy. What?
God. Good God. Like, it turns my stomach. It turns my
It's
stomach.
the weirdest accountability with also no accountability in the same breath.
Well, you know, this is probably gonna have to come with a trigger warning. But I come from, you know, the great debate where it's rough and tough and the funnies come rolling in. And there's this guy named Christian Hillbilly who now goes by Mr. Batman. And you can find Mr. Batman in Clubhouse. Sometimes Tom Rabbit records Clubhouse and puts it up there. He's also on Twitter. Christian Hillbilly goes, he's from Indiana. He goes and tells a story of like, now I'm a bus monitor and I get to share Christ daily with all the students and this and that and the other. And he's like, and this young girl, she told me a story of how her youth pastor molested her. And she's going through all that. And I said, well, you know, God chose you for a reason. And he put that in front of you for a reason, and blah, blah, blah. Like, he just goes on and on about how it's all for a purpose. And I'm thinking there and going, you literally just told this young person that, and he told her that he needed to forgive him. You told her that you need to forgive your molester. And then you told her that God approves and has put forth this molester. So now God is this grand molester. Good fucking job. Like, and he just got like, it just clobbered and left the hangout. But like, he was telling that story like it was a good story. And I was like, that is not a good story. You literally put God as this grand abuser. Good job.
It just makes me wonder what, like, not, I mean, obviously there's something wrong with these people, but like, it makes me question, what are you doing in your personal life that you can so easily rationalize these things to yourselves? Because you don't just wake up one day and say, because everything, if you've ever been attacked in any kind of way, even the most basic, like you got in a fight with your sibling when you were little, you know, that like rush of fear you get, and that, this is wrong, and I'm going to, I'm scared, or they're, whatever, where you get in trouble as a kid, you legitimately, your parent says, okay, you're in trouble, you're, punished, but you're afraid before, you get in trouble because, something's bad is going to happen, because your body, your whole soul, who you are as a human being, cries out like this is not right. What do these people rationalize to literally brainwash someone into thinking that any kind of unwanted or fear-based attack is in any way whatsoever a glory to God moment? Like, what? What? No, I don't get it.
Well, that's why the Duggars instituted their famous side hug that a lot of people will confuse and say, like, all fundies do that.
You have to be so careful how you word it, right? In life.
There's a specific reason that family did it.
Right. I just think they're all weird.
No,
sex is normal and natural.
Super weird.
It's just,
but
I don't understand how you raise.
They make these kids repressed. That's what happens.
What I'm saying.
Like,
I don't understand how you raise a child and raise them their entire lives with no education on like what healthy, going from their thought process, a healthy marriage is.
Well, and no real interaction with the opposite sex except for their siblings.
So then you've got a girl who's literally never even touched someone of the opposite sex on her wedding day, expected to, do something that she's been taught was bad and wrong her whole life. Like, what?
I've had so many people talk about how purity cultures fucked them up, and I was in SoCal and it was still there. I can imagine like in the South it was even more, because we didn't have the balls that, give your dad make a promise to your dad that you'll stay a virgin, which is really creepy in my opinion, like very property like. But we did have the promise rings and the true love. True love waits pledge. Yep.
Yeah.
We had that.
Wait, are you telling me my girls are going to get married before I die? I don't think I can take that.
Are you getting upset, sir?
Yeah, I'll have to live with that, I guess.
So,
Who am I kidding? I want grandkids.
I bought into the whole, true love waits thing, and
Me
only
too,
sleep
for
with one
about
person.
the first 16 years.
Yeah, and I for 16 years.
Not me. I was a whore. Just so y'all know.
That was my joke, Pickle. I said me too for the first 16 years.
But yeah, like I really believed it. I didn't believe that your souls melded together like some people were saying, but I believe that like that's, you have to be obedient, and that's how it was designed, and you have to be very loyal and go down with the ship. And I did buy into the whole, if you sleep with somebody, you're cheating on your spouse. Like your future spouse.
Oh God, yeah.
Like, that's how they sold it to me.
Do you remember that you'll be so dirty because whenever you guys have sex, they'll also be having sex with the person you had sex with? And,
yes.
And believing that, because
that only applies to polygamy.
Like, I seriously believed that whenever I was younger. Like, they scared me with that when I was like, ew, gross. I'm not ever going to date someone who's ever been with anyone else, because being with one person could potentially be being with 60 people.
Exactly. That's how they did it. They're like, this person can sleep with this person. All of a sudden, you're up to 60.
I would give them some leeway on that one. 'Cause if you're part of a group of people that normally isn't considered to be, like, let's say a lot of Christians believe that you shouldn't use condoms or like other birth control. The whole entire you sleep with everyone your partner slept with is really a kind of a way to protect yourself from STDs or STIs or whatever you want to call them now.
I mean, I agree to some extent, but also we all go to the bathroom in public on a regular basis. So, like, if I gotta pee, I gotta pee. So it kind of nullifies that argument in some ways. Not always.
In my butt.
Not yet. You haven't been that lucky, have you? I'm kidding.
I don't know. I'm just making shit up. Did anybody get the rose petal talk? I did not. I got the glued construction paper talk. Every time you have sex, you glue together and then you pull apart and you leave a piece of yourself behind.
Oh, we got the chewed bubblegum talk.
Chewed bubblegum? Oh my God.
I didn't get a talk. My parents just had sex wherever they wanted to in the house.
Ew.
Right.
So my mom was actually really open with sex, and that's how I knew what birth control and stuff was. But my mom's not from the South. She moved down here when she married my dad.
I got I was going away to summer camp. I was in the summer between 7th and 8th grade. My mom called me in her bedroom, which I immediately knew I was either in trouble or something I didn't want to have happen was about to happen. And I was like, what? And she said, do you know that you have to be totally naked to have sex? And I was like, fuck that. I ain't never having sex. Excuse my language, but I just...
You lost me at the naked part.
And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Nope, I'm not doing that. Forget it. That's good. I'll live without it. I'll be fine.
Well, I didn't get it. I was like, what's the point of this? I remember when I first heard about it, I was like, this sounds gross. And I think I was about 11 or something. I was trying to figure it out. And I'm like, this is gross. That was my first initial response. And then when I hit 13, I was like, this is interesting. Totally started flipping, right? Amazing what hormones do. It's just amazing.
I didn't understand how, I was sheltered. We'll just put it that way. Which is probably why I was like way more open the older I got. I didn't realize I couldn't figure out how it worked. Like, I didn't understand, like, physically how it worked. I didn't get it. It was like, and I would have friends make fun of me. Late high school.
Really? That long? Wow. Well, see, I was really sheltered too. I was a homeschool kid, so like super sheltered, but like my church kids are apparently wild, my church friends. And I remember one time the Sunday school teacher didn't come. Every so often the Sunday school teachers would forget to tell people that they're sick or something. And I was in 6th grade, and it was the Baptist church too. Like, this is like, even though it's SoCal, it's still conservative-ish SoCal. And we're waiting there for our Sunday school teacher, and the Sunday school teacher doesn't show up. And of course, we're not going to tell people that our Sunday school teacher isn't showing up, because that's so silly. And so I was in all the girls' classes and we were just talking or whatever. And one of the girls stands up and starts talking about 69. And I was like, I don't understand what that is. I don't understand. What are you talking about? And they're like, you seriously don't know what that is? And I'm like, no, I have no idea. And she draws a picture. She has the chalkboard and makes a picture. And I'm like,
I didn't even know what that was till college.
and I was like, why? Why would anybody want to do that? And they're like, well, I was like, oh my God. So you learn from like your peers sometimes. And I guess for some reason, our I don't know, like people weren't embarrassed to share or whatever. And then I think by like 13 or 14, I knew how things worked mostly. But that's just because like we had friends that at church that did a lot of things and then like told everybody what things were. And some of it was misinformation. Every so often you'd run into some kid that'd be like, did you know you can get pregnant by friends kissing? And you're like, no, bro, that's not how it works. Yes, it is.
But you won't get pregnant if you stand up immediately and jump up and down.
Right. If you take a shower right away, it's fine.
I had a girlfriend that had a baby at 16. I still did not, like, I knew that this is what led to this, but I didn't understand how it worked. I mean, I'm sure like my first time, I'm sure that guy was probably like, he probably thought he was with like, somebody out of the dark ages, because I had no clue whatsoever. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Thank God he was a decent guy, because Lord knows what he could have had me doing. Because I would have been like, all right, sure.
I was the wild church kid.
Were you wild?
Everyone always thought like I was so sweet and innocent, and everyone else was corrupting me. And really, I was the ringleader. I was like,
you were the corrupter.
Yes, but because I got all A's, and I don't know, people have always just thought I was sweet because I'm quiet. But no, it was always me. I was always the one instigating.
Instigator.
I was the one that was like, who needs school?
Not much has changed. No, I'm kidding.
What the Beck says, I learned what a lesbian was in 10th grade, sitting on the toilet while taking a shit.
Oh.
Oh, that's what that is.
Well, see, I also have to say, to my parents' credit, we have a very close family member who is gay and has been with his partner for many, 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 many years. And I didn't even know that that was quote unquote not the way it was supposed to be, or that that was any kind of bad, as some Christians believe, because it was so normal and so accepted. And I remember asking my mom one time, I was like, why does Uncle so-and-so have a husband and not a wife? And she was like, well, some people have husbands and some people have wives, and that's just the way it is. So it was never ever like a thing within my family culture. And I remember being much older, and I had a girlfriend who we had moved south at this point, and she was not out to her family. Now, did they all know? Yes. But like, she wasn't out. And I said to my mom one day, I was like, you know what, Mom, what if I was probably about 25, 20, well, no, I was probably about 27, 28 at the time. I said, what if I came out? Like, what would you think? And she's like, well, I'd think two things. One, you're my child and I love you, and whoever you love, as long as they're treating you well and you're, being smart and protecting your heart and, whatever, that's fine. She said, also, I would wonder like what the heck is going on, because you've never been taught to be ashamed of something like that. And I would think maybe you're having a midlife crisis because you've always liked boys. And I'm like, I do like the boys. So yeah, it makes sense to me.
Well, my father, for some reason, saw something coming on head on, because people see things in you, and he said, if you ever end up kissing girls or liking girls, I will kill you, is what he said.
Oh my God.
And he meant it. And my mother, it's like, something's mentally wrong with you, we'll take you to a counselor. Like that's how they handled that. So that's how things went with me. It was not very accepting.
Yeah, I mean, things have evolved also, though, I have to say, because since that time period, I'm I've got a solid 10 years on that, and I have another family member who came out much later, who had dated opposite sex and is now with same sex. And I said, do you remember that conversation we had? My mom's like, yeah. She's like, I realize now that fear is a big thing, even if it's self-imposed. And I'm like, that's it right there. Sometimes it is self-imposed because in society, for the majority of history, it's been a shameful thing to not, any kind of going against the status quo has been, shameful or worthy to be hidden, or, even the normal. Like I've gotten my hair cut and been afraid to go out in public for what people might say about it. And that's as simple as a haircut. So.
Yeah. And I think we hit on like the hetero section of it too, which like, it's weird. I would say that shame, like there's a scale of shame, right? There's like, for whatever reason, in a lot of the conservative Christians, this is how the hierarchy of sin goes, sexual sin.
You're right.
It's really kind of interesting. Let me think. The hierarchy is that if you are a cis couple and you sleep together, but you're really, really in love, it's very forgivable. If someone gets pregnant, as long as you get married, it's okay. And they'll make all these excuses for those folks. If you live together and you're a cis het couple, people are going to be like, those people are living in sin.
Why aren't you getting married? Yeah.
But why aren't you getting married? But I'll let you come to church still. It's fine. But confess your sins like every Sunday, please. Like, that's that kind of the pressure. Now, if you are a pastor or a somebody in authority and you apparently don't realize what power dynamics are, and say somebody that like, and I'm talking about adult on adult, and you take advantage, like you hear about this all the time. Some pastor counsels some woman, or they work closely together. They have a spiritual conversation, which is intimacy and connection, and then somebody sleeps with somebody. You hear that all the time. The church usually has its thing where they go, we gotta, like they have there's a big to do when it's out and out, and they have to decide whether they want to save that pastor and let him, it's usually a him, I was going to say him for sake of argument, let him still remain in that position, or are they going to switch his position to an executive switch position? They usually have a whole process now, and they call it something. I can't think of the name, but they have a process.
That's like the whole harlot theme too. Like she seduced him for sure. Right.
Yep.
Okay.
And then they have that like thing where like they go, okay, like it's almost like a counseling thing. He has to do so many, hours in this thing, and then gets reinstated, and or sometimes they just make him leave, one of those two. And then there's like the people that are like, I don't know. And there's the people that get divorced and remarried, and they're in a different section as well. And divorce and remarried is often looked down upon too, but it's acceptable, but it's still looked down upon. And then there's the gays, and the gays are better than murderers, better than pedophiles, but the last stop before those two things, according. But that's been very clear for
that behavior is definitely going to escalate into one of the other two, of course.
Right. It's going to be like, yeah. Well, the slippery slope thing. Like if I had a nickel for how many people go, well, if a man and a man, I mean, it's like M&M's thing, right? If a man and a man can elope, then why can't you, F a moose or whatever his line is? Like it really is their argument, though. It really is like, well, what's next? Now that we're allowing, gay marriage, what's preventing someone from marrying their house, marrying their dog? Like, and you can see where their mind goes. It's just complete like grossness. So like, it's always been really clear to me on the hierarchy of in their mind sin, like this is particularly disordered. It's particularly bad. And, but what's fascinating is it's so actually very common. Like it's more common than I think they realize.
It was always really fun when it happened when you were a kid, though, because they would just send all the kids outside to play while the church had a meeting.
Yeah.
So we got out of service for we never knew what was going on.
Somebody sinned again.
Back in, and you'd never see these two people ever again. But we didn't connect the dots of what was happening. We just knew the adults needed the room, and we could all go outside.
I don't know what's going on, but there's a meeting.
I had a situation similar but different growing up Catholic. Our priest was an offender. He is a pedophile, and
God. Ooh.
I watched, not the congregants. The congregants were pissed, but I watched the hierarchy of the church protect him. And his crime that was committed in the 70s, he was only just within the last 5 years brought to face trial. Haven't even had the trial yet. But there was a lot. I mean, it. To be honest, I almost lost my faith because of it. Not because, my faith. I'm not saying like my spirituality or my connection with God necessarily, but my literal like religious faith, because I wasn't real sure if I could trust these people who were willing to conceal something that I knew on a guttural level was so damaging, not just to the victim, but to the others around who watched it happen, who had knowledge of it. Like, you're supposed to feel safe with people like that. This is the person, as a Catholic, this is the person who literally is going to give me my last rites someday. My salvation could very well lay within their hands. Priests have a lot of power. They can say if you can get married or not. They can say, if you're ready for sacraments, which is, a big deal within the Catholic Church. So, I that's probably where my biggest issue has come from, is that the Pope and beacons. What are beacons? Bishops and deacons mixed together? Okay.
Beacons, I like it.
Beacons. Archbishops and bishops and priests and whatever, they have so much power in my relationship with, my God. I don't think it has to be that way. I just don't necessarily agree with that. They're human, no different than me. We're on the same level.
Oh man, you're headed towards Protestantism.
Nah, they don't like me either.
Well, you know what? The happy medium is Episcopalian and what's the other one? Church of England, Anglican.
I mean, Anglicans, Episcopalians, which are basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Episcopalians are just the American Anglicans. Lutherans and Methodists are it's funny to me that Lutherans are closer to Catholics than other Protestant religions, because that dude kind of like started the whole thing.
But we have had some Methodist churches here petition to leave the Methodist Church because they think they're getting too liberal.
Yeah, they are. Well, they're divided in half. I mean, I used to work in it. They're divided in half, like literally, like even within the church itself. Like even in the church that I worked in, it was divided in half on a lot of social issues.
Well, I grew up with a couple PKs who their father left the Anglican Church, the Episcopal Church, because of the what is it when somebody becomes a priest or something? What's the word? I'm having a brain fart.
Ordination.
Oh yeah, he literally left the church body because of the ordination of lesbian women.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's what should scare you about the Independent Fundamental Baptist, is that they broke away from Southern Baptist for being too liberal.
Yeah.
Right. That's scary.
Well, every time I talk to a independent, was it IBL? Wasn't their thing?
IBLP.
Any time I run across them, they're very hateful, incredibly. Like if they had their way, anybody that was LGBTQ would be legally executed or legally incarcerated. Like that's really what they think.
Yeah, it just goes against their own doctrine, their own Bible. Like, I'm like, have you read the Bible lately? Have you actually?
They really like Leviticus, okay? They're very fond of it.
Don't get me started on Leviticus, because I got a lot to say about it. But I mean, I had somebody in my family who was raised in the Southern Baptist Church, whatever, and she made the comment to me. She's like, I just prefer old time religion. I said, which one? And she just kind of looked at me, and I said, which old time religion? And she's like, well, the old time religion. And I was like, are you talking about old time Southern religion, because the country as a whole is only about 250 years old.
Yeah, old time Southern religion. Are you talking about Baptist versus Methodist? Which, by the way, in the Civil War, they hate each other. Like the Methodists were
Right.
largely Yankee lovers, and the Baptists were largely what you call it, Confederate. And like literally, there's stories of them burning each other's churches down. Literally.
Yeah. I had one of them tell me. I had someone who thought they were quite educated one time that tell me that Peter was the first Christian.
That's not true.
And
That's Mary.
I was like, you don't think that the woman who gave birth to the Son of Man was the first Christian?
This is a largely Catholic idea, right? Like, the reason why I always thought that Mary was the first Christian wasn't due to my side of my evangelical Protestant family. It was due to my grandmother and my aunt that were Catholic, and understanding what they were saying, which is Mary's the first person to say yes to God. And there's that statue of Mary where she stands on the snake, and I was like, well, what's that about? And then they showed me in the verse of the Bible how like standing on the snake and how it kind of ties to Genesis. And my aunt
we don't
told
want
me
redemption for women. Don't talk about that.
my aunt told me that Eve was the first person to say no to God. And in turn, Mary was the first person to say yes to Jesus. And I thought that was a really interesting juxtapose. And it does elevate Mary's status in a way. Like she's very important. And for whatever reason, evangelicals are really focused on downplaying Mary's status obsessively. And then they're like, "Yay, Peter!" And like Peter was kind of dislikable, frankly.
Yeah,
like
he really was. Even if you take, like, I know there's the whole like argument of the virginity of Mary and like all that, but if you take all of that other stuff away, if you take everything else away and strip it down bare, Mary was the first person who believed that Christ was the Messiah. And that in and of itself is what Christianity is. We believe that Christ is the Messiah. Like that's the whole differentiation between the Jews and the first early Christians who were technically Catholics. But people, it's been bogged down, and every man who's ever had a little bit of, thought process has his own thoughts and views on it. And, I've got to the point where I would really like to learn Aramaic enough, Greek enough to read the early Bible and then be able to parse it myself.
Greek's hard because, well, they're both hard, but Greek has so many different ways a word can go.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you have different doctrines. Like, I cannot remember the verse in the Bible, but there's this one verse where in the American language, we're going to say of, right? Or, and then all of a sudden, like, if you look it up, one version of it, like, would say, oh, the Greek is in order to.
Yeah.
And another version of the Greek's going to basically mean because of. And all of a sudden, this is where you're going to get a doctrinal difference of whether or not you should be baptized to be saved. Is it a salvation issue? Well, the Protestants are going to say, well, you're baptized because of your faith. And it's an outward sign of an inward change, basically. And then you'll talk to like a Catholic, and it's a sacrament, and it's required for part of your salvation process. Now, granted, there's exceptions, like martyrdom is considered a baptism, or like there's a lot of people that say if you die on your way to be baptized and you're already like that's in your intent, that God's going to understand that's your intent because you're already kind of in that way. But yeah, like that is like, and I'm not going to say one's right or the other, or anything like that, but like that is like an example of like where just a simple translation will make people go different directions.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a very good friend of mine who is a priest about that specifically, and he really just broke it down and said, do you think that if someone loves God, has a heart for God, and doesn't ever get the chance to be baptized, that they're going to get rejected? It's God. He does what he wants. And I was like, true enough. And God literally created man as because he was lonely, because he wanted a creature that was like him, because he wanted love and affection. And I've always been, especially like with the Jehovah's Witnesses specifically, I've always like been flabbergasted that people would actually think that God would reject anyone at all based on any of these several 100,000 nuanced things when he created us because he loves us and wants us close to him. That's his heart's desire from, what we're taught and what's in the Bible. Like, I don't, I understand there's plenty of ways to get to hell, but I also think that God isn't just willy-nilly just flicking people off and being like, nah, you don't get in. And I don't think that any man has a right to put that at anyone else's feet either.
Well, there's this idea. Well, there's me in theology. Like I'm a nerd in the sense that I think it's all interesting, even if I'm not, somebody that's subscribing to it. But I think it's Father. Is his name Richard Barron? He's the bishop of Los Angeles area. He has got
Yeah.
I like him. He was asked about universalism, and he said, I think you can be a hopeful universalist, meaning that there's nothing in writing about how many people are in hell. We just don't know. We don't really know how many people are in hell. So you could be essentially a hopeful universalist that maybe like, upon Judgment Day, God sorts people out differently than, well, were you a Catholic and were you baptized or not? And he says like there's some sort of room in the tent for hopeful universalism, which upset people a lot. But he was like,
well,
no,
I think most humans want to send far more people to hell than God wants to. And then I want to say, I see Mage Grey Wolf said, if God was lonely, then he wasn't perfect. We don't really know what perfect is. We don't know what the standard of perfect truly is. We know what we think it is because we're humans and we want perfect to be something that's unattainable. We know we were made in God's image. If you're a Christian, you follow the doctrine, you're made in God's image. We don't know what the standard of perfect is. Do I think God was lonely? Absolutely, because I get lonely and I know I'm made in the image of God. So I believe that God too gets lonely. We know God has a temper. We know he gets angry. We know he's a terrible God at times. Literally, his own words, I am a terrible God. So the standard of perfectionism, no human can actually define truly what that is. I'm not really concerned about going out and saving souls. I'm not really interested in trying to convert anyone or convince anyone. I'm totally down for educating people if they have questions to the best of my ability from my own understanding. But like, I like to think that like, it's not as doom and gloom and, dark and horrible. Just be a good human and then it's okay. And then that makes even if you believe nothing more than just this life, if you're just good to people, life is just so much easier. I don't understand the desire to be judgy and mean and cruel.
I mean, other than tribalism, right? Like,
yeah.
Rose hit on a subject, and I can tell you what I used to think, and I can tell you what like we run into a lot, and then I don't know what Pickle thinks, but Rose says, excuse me, like I just am constantly burping nowadays. I need to take some Prilosec or something. Rose says, it makes no sense, the descriptions of the Abrahamic God. It all leads to a narcissistic tyrant, love bomb, and abuse. Why do people believe these stories? So there is sort of like I'm a jealous God, have no gods before me. Oh, you worshiped this other false god, and I'm going to send the Babylonians to destroy you. And, that back and forth in the tribal warfare. It's like, well, the Amorites need to go, all of them, including their kids. Bye. And you read that and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. But if you read it through a lens of historical back and forth, and I looked at it as war rhetoric. And I didn't look. So this is where I'm a heretic. I'm a heretic, so don't mind me. But I looked at it as a war rhetoric between warring tribes, saying my God is bigger than your God. My God is El Shaddai, Elohim. and they'll go back and forth. And then the Canaanites would know what that means because they also knew the El gods. And they're like, wait a minute, that's our El god, and they would go back and forth. And I look at it as rhetoric. And even the Exodus is very rhetoric, driven. And so I kind of look at it in that way. Also, the laws, I look at it as answers to other laws in the nearby tribes, things like that. So I guess for me, for a very long time, I looked at it as there's a human condition where man is trying to understand God, and that's in the Bible. And I look at it as this way. I think that the Bible is something you can learn from and kind of, spiritually, I guess, grow. Maybe that's how I looked at it. And then also, from a historical point of view, it's quite interesting. But then I would look at it also like as not perfect. And so I know that's like a big keystone for a lot of particularly Protestants, but I never looked at it as perfect.
Well, my thing is this, okay? Who said God was perfect? I'm looking for very specifics. I can tell you though.
Well, it does say God is perfect love. That's literally in the Bible.
The Bible is written now, arguably spirit-led, but the Bible is written by mankind. Only once in the entire Bible does Christ say God is perfect. God himself never says, I'm perfect. Sorry, my AirPod is dying. I'm like, Only once does Christ say that God is perfect. In Matthew, he says like, I'm gonna look it up real quick. Matthew 5:4-8. Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. And again, perfect is subjective based on your life experience and your culture and your tribe. And one tribe might think long hair is perfect, the other tribe thinks short hair is perfect. It is very subjective. And people, I see again, let me see where Wolf said it, because I love this conversation. That like Christ, or that God, he said, if God was lonely, then he lacked something, therefore could not be perfect, whatever that happens to be. I'm not going to argue that God did lack things. He did. In the Bible, it's written that God did lack. He created us for a reason. And he created us in his image, and we were immediately lacking, because he then saw that man was lacking. So he, created animals so that men had, my brain is really not working tonight. It's trying hard to work, but I'm a little dehydrated, Joe. He immediately saw that we were lacking and tried to provide for us, as a good father does provide for his children. I don't think that lacking something is necessarily a negative thing. Lacking leads to action and, being comfortable, being sufficient. That all leads to inaction. And we know that action is required for faith. It's not a bad argument to have. It's not something I would shirk away from having. I just don't think that God is who we say he is. And there are just far too many people running around saying, well, God this and God that and da-da-da.
Are you saying that God doesn't fit in my theological box?
Sorry, boo-boo.
Damn it. Well, let me tell you about the omnis. God is omnipowerful. God is all-knowing. God is omniscient. What's the other one? All everywhere
present.
At once, all present.
Present. Mm-hmm.
All the things that are not in the Bible, like it's literally derived like theology, but it's not actually stated.
You know what really bothers me about those?
Mm-hmm.
Is that you could stop with all powerful. You don't need to list the other one.
Right.
Well, then they slip
you don't
up
have
and
to
they
be
say
everything.
omnibenevolent, and omnibenevolent is actually really not in the Bible. Like you could say all powerful is for sure. Omnipresent,
all present is.
Maybe
well, it says the Bible, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am. So it is
But then omnibenevolent, all it says is perfect love.
Yeah.
Find me something where it's all loving.
Well, and we know here's the thing. What do we know about love? Sometimes love is painful. And also to be like these things are
love is.
Oh my gosh. All these things are measurable so that we can understand them. And you can't, I mean, I know it's like the most base thing to say, but you can't know up if you don't know what down is. You can't know light from if you don't know what dark is.
So what you're moving to is what a lot of theologians do, which is a category like the.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear somebody describe God and they're using these human-like traits, they're saying God's a jealous God. That's kind of what normally a negative trait for us, but sometimes I guess it could be positive in rare cases, and I can maybe point out how that could be positive sometimes. God is a loving God. God is a just God. God is merciful. All these traits that are attributed to God. And then as soon as I ask about these traits, the category changes, and they're like, oh, well, you can't judge God on being moral, or you can't judge God on being loving, or you can't judge God on being just, because you're making a categorical error, because God's version of this morality and these attributes and traits are not from a human point of view. And it's very frustrating because it's like, well, then what's the point? Then we don't know who God is at all. At that point, and it's very confusing.
And if we don't know who he is, we shouldn't be weaponizing him or any doctrine related to him at all. And I do feel like I should be clear in saying, when I'm speaking about this, I'm speaking from what a Christian standpoint would be. I'm not saying these as absolute truths. I'm a lapsed fat Catholic girl who lived in sin for many years and has done all kinds of, drugs and atrocious things in her life. God's probably not my biggest fan, but I'm okay with that. It's all right. I'm just saying, if an argument is to be made that God, hates you because you're gay, I can make the argument why God hates you because you're not gay. It's literally an interpretation from a man, and men have been controlling people since time eternally. So, Mage Grey Wolf, we don't know that God exists in the first place. We do not know that. That's a leap of faith. That's what is required to be an adherent of Christianity, to believe that God exists without proof.
I wish I could do a Darth Dawkins imitation and just tell you to listen to me. Listen to me very carefully.
Listen to me very carefully. Oh gosh,
Wait,
Darth Dawkins
is that Vegeta hair? I have to just Jesus Vegeta.
Yeah,
so
it's
I don't even know what Serb is. Are you a deist? What are you, Serb? A theist?
I describe myself as
Agnostic.
a theistic agnostic atheist.
God, that's annoying.
Okay.
I can explain it, but I just phrase it like that so no one could put me in a box.
I could probably fit in that box with you, actually. So that's okay. I appreciate that.
Gosh, speaking of boxes, can you show that meme that you made, Jill, about God?
Oh, the chart?
Yes, I love the chart.
Yeah.
So Serb needs to explain this. There's this guy, Jill, and Jill won't talk to women because women are beneath him and weaker vessels. And
oh my God.
Women's on site. But he goes into Brojo's room, which is I don't know. Brojo is conservative, libertarian hell, but I love them anyway. He goes in there and he tries to preach to them, and then they try to go through his logic, which is not existent.
Yeah.
And Serb, take it away. This is the funniest thing ever. This chart.
All right, so and this is this messes with Jill because Jill's a pre-supper.
Okay.
Right, so he holds that version. Yeah. And this chart only messes with pre-suppers because a pre-supper is going to want to say that God existed before anything.
Okay.
So if that's true, right, and I usually had to do a little demonstration here. Let me get my little tools ready.
Oh my God, you have a floating God.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, you put it in nothing, disappears, goes back out.
That's amazing.
But if you're going to put it in nothing, I go, okay, so it's before existence. That means that if it's before existence, Now, where is your God located?
Yeah.
It's not located. It can't be located anywhere, so it's non-existent. And then you go, well, though, if existence is the primary thing and your God isn't the primary necessary thing, then your God's somewhere in here, which then makes existence more powerful than God, which then destroys their brain.
Yeah, they can't handle that, I bet.
Can't handle that. So Jill goes through all this rhetoric where he'll say God's in this place, and then he'll say something that means God's in this place, and then he'll move God up here, and then he'll move God back here, and then he'll move God down here, and then he'll move God back over here. And it drives him nuts.
That's brilliant. I need that for people.
Yeah, I brought this up with Darth Dawkins, and he told me all of existence was just conceptual. That was his first, and then kicked me from the room.
That would make him wait. That would make him an idealist, right? So something has to exist for a mind to see that it exists. So wouldn't that make him an idealist? And he's never argued as an idealist ever.
No.
No, he just said he just says the first thing that came into his head that would make him not have to deal with that. That's all it was.
Non-confrontationalist. That's what he is.
I've heard Jill's arguments, and they're just kind of like gibberish. Like him trying to make himself sound smart. I've never actually heard him attempt a presuppositional argument.
Oh, he doesn't, because he never gets that far. He's just kind of there to insult you.
He's a little bit smarter than G-Man, so he starts it.
Oh my god!
And then doesn't finish it. Where G-Man goes, "You're just borrowing from my worldview," and it starts the precept, and then he goes to evidentialism.
Isn't it always those guys who want to stick their wieners in the weaker vessels too? Like they're the ones who are the first in line. Like,
to say that Jill is slightly smarter than G-Man, I will give G-Man credit. Like, he has never actually tried to cite a video game character as a scientific source.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
Did you literally make Jill's God the LGBTQ flag?
Yes.
That's very triggering for him.
This is how I troll Jill now. Whenever I'm in a room, even if I'm not talking, and Jill's like in the external chat somewhere, or he's inside the room not speaking or even arguing with someone, I just put this on my dock image on my screen, and I just sit there silently with little Jill's God over there and nothing.
You shit stir. I love it.
Oh, Sir will argue about baby carrots for 6 hours. Legit, that was an argument for
baby carrots.
The work of Satan.
He really doesn't like
whoa. Baby carrots are the work of Satan?
Yes.
Oh god, here we go.
They're so wasteful. Stop buying baby carrots. There are people starving in Africa.
Oh my god. Wow.
I didn't even know baby carrots weren't real until he told me.
Yes, they're just regular carrots that were shaved down into tiny pieces of carrot.
They're not regular carrots. They're just very, very small carrots.
No, they're not. They're taken from regular carrots. There's not a special variety of baby carrot.
Well, no, I get that. It's just that they're carrots that are undersized.
Yeah, but they still shave them. That's how they all have the same shape. So they waste like half the carrot to make the little tiny carrot stick.
So we need justice for baby carrots at this point.
Yes. Justice for every person out there starving to death.
Mm.
Whenever I hear baby carrots, I either think of Serb and his baby carrot 6-hour argument, or I think of Rev News with his baby carrot dick.
Oh.
You ate all my
plenty of
cookies.
those.
Like, they could just sell the small carrot. And then they could also just sell it for less because they don't have to process it, so that anyone buying it would save money or get more carrot.
But then you have to peel the carrot.
Yeah, that's like a little scrape.
Right. What is your time worth? That's capitalism right there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not half my carrot. That's not what my time's not worth more than that.
I remember talking to Jill a while ago, like probably a year and a half plus ago, and he tried to pull the whole like I'm the alpha male, like I'm the leader of the household, I make all the decisions, I run this house, and he kept on calling me a beta because, fun fact, the vast majority of cooking that takes place in my house is done by me.
Oh, so you're a lesser man because you cook.
What do you think
Accordingly,
that like chefs and restaurants are they lesser men?
I don't know. But when I explained to him that the reason that I do most of the cooking is, I hope she's not listening, but my girlfriend can't boil an egg.
Bless her heart.
But yeah, I do the majority of the cooking because, one, it's what I do. I like to cook for people. I take a lot of pride in that because being able to feed someone is a pretty proud accomplishment.
Yeah.
Two, I need to be able to keep my. I like to hone my skills.
Yeah.
I like to be able to do things consistently, and that means I have to do more and more and more and more. And three, it usually gets me laid.
Right. I mean, so technically, actually, if we're speaking truthfully, you're an alpha male because, you're surviving and thriving.
Well, the curious thing that it absolutely befuddles me is that every single dude that is in this weird little corner of the internet that they identify as an alpha male, I would love for them to speak to me with an ounce of bass in their voice.
Right.
Like when I hear J-Dubs call himself an alpha male.
The guy that circumcised himself to marry someone?
What?
You guys ever watch that person on TikTok who, like, I guess they repost him because the account's not there, but it's like, I'm the alpha. And like the alpha stands up behind him and he's got like a lisp and stuff. It's so embarrassing.
No, I have not. I've not seen that.
Well, I mean, look at Andrew Tate, the guy that claims to be like the ultimate alpha male.
Right.
He's in some serious shit right now because he's being connected to human trafficking.
I mean,
this guy's like, you guys are going to regret messing with me because the alpha's back now. And the guy stands up behind him and he's like, that's right, I'm back. Like, it's so embarrassing.
I can't with the Andrew Tate. I've never known a true alpha male that was that scared of everything. I mean, for me, his behavior is 100% fear-based. I don't know if anybody else interprets that way, but like I do, and he doesn't he could call me any name under the sun, and I would have a hard time not just flat out giggling at him because I know he's just scared to death of his own shadow, and that's what it boils down to. He cannot stand on anything of his own.
I can't rule out the Boy Scout defense, which is preparation might look like fear.
True enough. But when you're preparing secret hovels to keep your, sex slaves in, and you're too afraid of the government finding out, so you move to another government where you think you'll be safe, and then out yourself because you cannot handle that a very young girl called you out a little bit, so you essentially out yourself and end up with the problems he's got. I don't know. Lack of self-control is a big deal for him.
I thought that was the funniest thing was that she didn't. Greta Thunberg didn't actually call him out. He started it.
Yeah, no, and she didn't even mention his name right away. Like later on, she was literally like, I wasn't even talking to you. What are you talking about? And then, yeah, he shot himself in the foot on that.
Yeah, he was flexing about how many Bugattis he owns. And I think that she had like fired back with, something like, tell me you have small dick energy without actually telling me that you have small dick energy.
Yeah, no, like my reply would have been, tell me how many Bugattis you own while eating pizza from a chain restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Your private chef didn't make that, bitch.
Speaking of alpha males, I have a better diagram than Serb does if Spackle wants to make me big real fast.
Ooh.
One moment. Let me find it real fast.
Now, you guys are all in... Okay, so please forgive me if I misspeak. I'm looking for clarity because I'm relatively new to this side of the internet, if you can't tell.
Oh, I can tell you where everybody's from.
I mean, are you guys all like GDC?
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Serb is GDC. I'm GDC. And by GDC, I mean not Steve. I mean like literally just GDC.
I mean, that's literally my whole experience is literally Dick Dawson and Steve McRae.
Dick's a tard. So sorry guys.
So this is the Venn diagram of the alpha male.
Oh my God, I love this.
Dick is okay with science and not good at philosophy. Oh gosh, that's Von Helton. He's disgusting.
10 points if you can guess who made this.
Oh well, it's a Venn diagram, so it's got to be somebody. A Venn diagram. Fat Photog.
Very good. 10 points to Spackle.
I love Fat Photog. I wish I could do videos like him. He's really good, but then he's a pro. He's actually professional. So
I have to say that I appreciate you guys in the conversation, because I literally, when I started to like tiptoe into this area, I was told because I was a lapsed Catholic and a theist that I would be basically laughed out.
You could be. Yeah, so it depends on where you are. So right, so like because I'm like waffling between deism and theism here, and I started out as a Christian that was in ministry. I'm going to obviously be very good to theists, but there are people where it is really rough, and not only that, you're going to have somebody like you. The anti-theists will come for you.
That's cool. I'm cute
and
I have big boobs, so I'll just laugh them away. It's all
and then the Protestant fundies will come for you because they don't think you're a Christian if you're a Catholic.
No, they definitely don't.
It's a great fun. So you have to have like, unfortunately, because people are so sensitive and they've attached their feelings to, rightfully so. My feelings were very attached to my religion. If you have that sensitive heart, and you really sincerely love people and stuff like that, and it's such a tender thing for you. Unfortunately, a lot of the more moderate or progressive Christians will walk away. They don't want to be in the fight, and the people that are left in the fight are usually the most fundamental, most aggressive, most outlandish ideas. Those are the ones that are going to be the most aggressive, unfortunately. And the anti-theists love it. They want to highlight it because they want to tell you how religion's harmful. And then the anti-theists hate, and there's exceptions, like Shannon Q is an exception, but there's a lot of anti-theists that really hate progressive Christians or science accepting Catholics because they call them moderate cunts. That's where moderate C word comes from. I was called a moderate cunt. And it's because they believe that we give like camouflage for the most fundamental, most destructive things. Right.
Gotcha.
So like you'll run into that, just generally not on my channel. So usually not here.
I mean, I have a very hard time taking offense when it comes to my personal and highlight on personal faith and spirituality. I can think you're wrong without having to point it out or gloat. And I think that my own thought process is only it only affects me. You know, I'm not here trying to proselytize to anybody. And I'm a mess. You know, I'm Catholic raised by a Christian Scientist. It's kind of weird. Anyways, so.
Hey, you're an interesting flavor where like I have evangelical with Catholic flavoring, and you've got the Catholic with the Christian Scientist, which is really kind of an interesting flavor because Christian Scientists, when I talk to them, they say that evil really doesn't exist. Like it's actually just sort of like
they don't believe anything exists. Everything is metaphysical. The reality is not really real. They're the Jedis of the Christian faith, honestly.
Wilson, I now always associate you with the Geek Room and Lulz Cows and Dragoons. But were you GDC before? Because I can't remember.
No, I was never part of G+.
Okay, yeah. So I'm sorry, Wilson is Lulz Cow watching. You'll see him a lot. Like, gosh, around where we see Black Guy TV, Dragnaut.
Like Geek Room, Dragnaut, Secular Opinion, things like that. I'm trying to think of the person. So Spackle, you've been around a little bit longer than I have, as far as like going back to like the G+ days. Who was the anti-theist that made the argument that if you believe in God, that you were mentally ill?
Oh my
And then
goodness.
it was one that SoCal went off on.
Fruit of atheism or something like that.
Forbidden fruit.
Forbidden fruit. Thank you. Yeah, it's forbidden fruit was the most outspoken on that.
That was a dude that if I ever had a conversation with him, I might sock him in the face.
Right.
Because I'm in a weird position right now when it comes to, belief and everything and whatnot. But him saying that, I would have taken that as like you're saying that my grandmother was mentally ill.
Right.
Yeah. That's basically what they're saying.
I do wonder, like, this is my biggest question for like say it for me because my brain stopped working.
Anti-theist
or atheist. My biggest question for them, not in belief for them specifically, okay? They believe what they believe, that's okay. But my thing is it just Christianity? Or if like some, Celtic pagan shows up and wants to talk about, their faith base and their, tradition, is that also just as ridiculous to them as,
it depends.
A Southern Baptist? Like,
so I noticed that there's consistency with the UK anti-theists, who are also some of the most blood on the sword people ever. They're the ones that used to come for me and some other people, like Fiona. Those guys are pretty much like, if you have any belief in a deity, they're going to come for you pretty much. Then there's this Americanized anti-theist, and a lot of times they're angry ex-fundamentalists that are now
the Americans
they're suddenly,
are weirdos.
Now they think that they're suddenly like logical, and they go, religion causes harm, it caused me harm, so I'm angry, which rightfully so. Religion's harmed me in some ways, and I'm angry about those things. I get it, but like, they won't acknowledge the good things, and it's just all or nothing. And you'll find that those folks are. There was a point I was getting to, and I got distracted by that pineapple pizza, like literally pineapple pizza.
I literally would eat that. I'm sitting here like, yeah, I'd eat that.
I can't think what I was thinking. Oh, I was saying there's that kind of anti-theist, right? That's just sort of like very angry and just like kind of, they're not very nuanced. Now there's like the most positive anti-theist, which I would think Shannon Q was a good example. Like, I'll just use her as the poster girl of like anti-theism done better. And like when I engage with Shannon Q, and I've had a couple conversations with her, she's always treated me respectfully, always treated me kindly. She didn't treat me like an idiot. She treats me like an intelligent person. We have conversations. We have nuanced conversations. She acknowledges that I'm progressive in some ways, and she appreciates that. But she would challenge me and go, well, I think that, this and that and the other. Much easier person to talk to than like some of these other ones that are just so flaming. Like, I think they call them firebrand.
Yeah. I'm never going to take offense ever to someone saying like Omarosa said, there are no gods, period, just fairy tales. I don't take offense to that. That doesn't shake me or hurt my feelings. It doesn't make me want to be like, oh, Omarosa, you're wrong. Like, I would never. That to me, it would be just as bad as someone telling me I'm, mentally unstable or mentally ill because I'm a deist or I have faith or whatever. I have no problem with anything like that. My biggest thing is, and this is probably where I would just walk away, because I think respect is like the number one thing. I can respect what you believe because I understand that your belief comes from I gotcha, Amaro, sorry. I can respect that from whatever life experience you've had, you've come to that conclusion. And I'm okay with that. I'm sorry for any hurts anybody has had that, has caused them to, feel antagonistic or, harmed by any such institution. But I just, like I said, you and I have spoken about it, Spackle, privately. I've wanted to delve into this, but if somebody just comes rip-rearing out telling me that, like, I'm, ignorant and stupid because I believe this, that, and the other, well, we can talk about quantum physics as well, and I can show you what stupid looks like. I'll give you the mirror. But
yeah, I think we all have like a wheelhouse, right, in different things.
Yeah.
I work with a number of 20-something-year-olds, and they're the angry atheists.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they're always bringing up the topic of religion and belief at work. And I don't do that because
Right.
it's bar rules. The two things you don't talk about in public are, politics and religion.
Yeah, that's what's stupid. Asking you to lose your job because you can't keep your mouth shut and play nice.
I do not talk about religion at work on purpose. Yeah.
So the curveball that I love throwing at these kids is, when they ask me like, what do I believe in? I tell them that I'm a Lovecraftian.
I Lovecraftian. God.
And
that's kind of dangerous considering some of his other beliefs, though.
I can separate
one thing.
I can separate the art from the artist. But
I have told people I was a Jedi before when they've asked, because I know they're just being, when they show up at my door with a pamphlet and they want to talk, I'm like, I'm a Jedi. You must go away now, and just wave my hand, and it works.
I always get put on the list. I always get put on the do not fly list because I try to talk to them. And so if they're Jehovah's Witnesses and you do anything beyond asking questions, they won't ever talk to you again. And if they're Mormons, they'll like argue for a little bit, but eventually they won't talk to you either. So you have to, it's so hard. It's hard to talk to them.
You had to mention Jedi. You had to mention Jedi. I remember having a conversation with Veckel and Vaughn about the new Star Wars movies. And I'm like, yeah, I'm Rogue One was pretty good. The other ones were kind of crap. And then Vaughn went into his whole spiel about how, the Force is a deity. I'm like, no. The Force is not a deity, because if the Force was a deity, it's the worst deity ever, because if you're a good person, you can tap into it. If you're an evil person, you can tap into it. It's magic.
Mm-hmm.
No, I love throwing.
It's quantum foam.
I love throwing the Lovecraftian at these kids, and then trying to explain like the whole like mythos behind it. Like, yeah, I believe in a God. He's omnipotent. Not omnipotent. He's omnipotent. He's omnipresent, but he is the opposite of omniscient.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
See, where I'm from, they just assume everybody's Christian, so you don't have to talk about it.
Right. They're not even speaking on the same level. They don't even speak the same language. I don't know. It's funny. I have a funny Jehovah's Witness story. My parents had just bought their house, and my mom had a raised flower bed in front, and the Jehovah's Witnesses showed up. Hilarious. My father raised Presbyterian, became Catholic to be with my mother. My mother was Catholic and then became Christian Scientist. So she's out in the garden bed pulling weeds, doing whatever. The Jehovah's Witnesses are talking to my dad, and he's not as well versed necessarily in the Catholic faith, but he's real good, with the Presbyterian stuff, because his best friend was a PK. So they're sitting there going back and forth. And my mom jumps up and starts screaming, "The ground is biting me. The ground is trying to eat me." My dad said these two ladies looked at her and looked at him and shook his hand and just got in the car and left, never came back. There was a baby robin in the flower bed that when it saw my mom's finger, thought it was like, its mom coming back with a worm. And so my mother does this hilarious thing where she like gets so confused, her words don't mesh. She can't say the right things. So she just jumps up and screams that. And my mom's like, "They never came back." And I'm like, "They probably thought you were beyond help. Like, the devil's in this house. Let's leave. Gotta go."
I have a less funny story about JWs. I have an aunt and uncle that are Jehovah's Witnesses, and they almost killed my cousin.
Oh my goodness.
Because my cousin and my uncle, they were driving somewhere, and they were involved in a very serious car accident where my cousin ended up getting his femoral artery nicked.
Oh no.
And the big thing with JWs is that you can't accept blood transfusions.
Right.
And it basically came down to the family, like telling my uncle, like, you're going to allow your son to get a blood transfusion, or you're probably going to be charged with murder.
Yeah.
Or manslaughter.
Yeah. I've experienced, not directly, but I've experienced that as well with the Christian Scientists. There was a huge rash of cases in the 90s and early 2000s where parents were denying like insulin to type 1 diabetic children because it's medical intervention. And, and it's funny though, because like those are the extremists. Most Christian Scientists, they have a level, but the Mary Baker Eddy didn't say, don't go to the doctor at all. Like that's not actually part of the doctrine. I don't know. I don't understand, maybe because I'm not, but I don't understand extremism on any level. Like my extremism is like, I don't like spiders and I would prefer they stay away from me. But like, I know they have a job to do and they have to exist in the world with me. I don't think I'm extreme about literally anything. So I don't really comprehend how anyone can be, especially about something so big as like medical intervention, life and that sort of thing. I don't get it.
If you don't like spiders, I would say do the self-intervention and force yourself to watch the movie Arachnophobia.
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies. I'm ridiculous. I'm a glutton for punishment.
God.
Hello, I'm Catholic.
Why? Why?
I don't like them too near me, but I'm totally cool with them existing. I had a really pretty one at my house this past summer. I hope she comes back. She was beautiful. She looked like a little crab. I thought she was cool, but I don't want her crawling in my bed at night. That's all I mean.
Oh, well, that's like normal fear of spiders. Like there's like the really irrational one where like people wig out over a picture. And then there's the one like me where I'm like, I don't want to touch the spider or move the spider or kill the spider. Can you please go? And then there's the hi spider. You stay over there and I'll stay over here and we'll get along just fine. And then there's oh my God, burn it all.
No, if it's within reasonable size, I'll move it outside so it can live, because I know it has a role in the world, and who am I to take its life away? That's maybe where I'm a little psycho, but like, I don't want.
I know atheists like that. That's very, very life affirming.
Terrifying. So I'm just not a big old fan.
So my sister is like insanely arachnophobic. Like she acts irrationally when it comes to anything spiders. Ooh. And we tried to do the intervention and make her watch Arachnophobia. It didn't work.
That is not how you do an intervention about spiders. I don't think that's the way.
But it might be for the fact that I am, in fact, a horrible person when it comes to my sense of humor. Watching my sister walk through a spider web that she doesn't catch is objectively one of the funniest things you'll ever see.
Jump all around.
She turns into a ninja.
Yes.
I gotta shave my hair now.
When I was 10 years old and my sister was 14, I came up with the most devious plot, and I stapled invisible fishing line to the ceiling of her room and just let it dangle. So she walked into her room and just continuously freaked out.
I'd have been putting makeup on you when you're asleep. I'd have been doing all kinds of terrible things.
My sister and I, we have a very tumultuous relationship. She dropped a fish tank on my head when I was a kid. She made me drink gas. I don't.
Oh my goodness!
They ask you how you are. You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
The hell was that?
I said you have to say that you're fine, but not really fine. You don't know that?
That right there.
They ask you how you are. You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
I love that image. I love the look on Rev's face.
God damn. It's abuse. I don't know why I think it's funny. Maybe because he kicked his kid in the stomach. I'm like, fuck you.
I'm not caught up with what they're doing lately. I know that Fapatog made the video where Shani started crying about Rev eating cookies, and I just wanted something for myself. Ah!
I have a serious problem with her based on the one and only thing I've ever paid attention to her posting in relation to cancer, and I have.
Oh gosh, well, she's done it a lot. She's done the cancer scare a lot.
She's what, like on a baker's dozen?
Oh God. It was the metastatic breast cancer post. And I was like,
Mhm.
bitch, I'm a fat girl too. I know exactly what that is. Go take a bath and shut up.
Right. She's like, this is what cancer looks like. And Exile's like, shut the fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
God damn.
I literally was like, somebody else commented, because Exile commented something and they like started to come for Exile. And I was like, oh, hold up. I was like, you do realize who you're talking to right now. It was like tag team cancer patients. We were both on her. Like,
Yeah.
don't even speak.
Yeah, like I was like, well, like I'm used to having to defend people, but like, no, like you get them.
Yeah.
You got it.
Julie's trying to get you to watch that video.
The Welsh one?
Yes.
I don't know. Well, see, Pickle tends to not want to get involved in my drama.
I don't. You guys know I don't like talking about somebody very specifically like that, because I have no dog in the fight, and we don't really know what's going on there, so it's just
right. Well, I guess she made like a 20-minute video, which like I'll check out, but like I'm not gonna like halt everything because Welsh is having a sad, or Welsh, sorry, Welsh. Oh, Welsh. I was just giving you the attention you so crave. Come on.
Okay, I have toiled and made a better chart, I think, than what he had.
Let's see it.
You made another chart? Okay, let's see.
I tried to make it not spicy. I had a lot of spicy ideas, but
okay. If you're creative enough, everything is only 1 degree apart. Pussy. One slip of the tongue and you're in deep shit mafia?
I need that. Can someone send that to me? I need that.
Do you have Discord?
I do.
Put your Discord name in there and I'll send it to you in Discord.
She's on my Moderate C Word Discord. If you don't know, I have a Discord called Moderate C Word.
I'm a wicked
Nothing really
pickle
exciting
everywhere
happens
I
in
go.
there, but
Okay, I'll see if I can't find you there.
One of my new
Serb is
favorite
Sam, by the way.
One of my new favorite YouTube channels is I can't remember the name of it, but it's just all they do is shorts, and they're on TikTok where it's just two guys where all they do is they tell the worst dad jokes you could ever imagine.
Oh, those are my people.
Okay, do you know why koalas aren't actually considered to be bears?
No, why?
They don't meet the qualifications.
I like it.
Are those
I
the
tell my
guys
mom
that sit, like,
a
with
bad
their
joke
cups?
every day.
Are those the guys
Sorry.
that sit with like their coffee?
Yep.
Like in front. Yeah, I love those guys, and sometimes they like crack themselves up.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Those are the best.
My husband literally yesterday, he walked up to me and he was like, why did the chicken cross the road? I said, I don't know why. He said, because. And I was like, I think I almost peed myself. I laughed for like 20 minutes straight. It was ridiculous. But then I did the I am farted joke to him, so we were even. So I'm also crass and disgusting. Sorry.
What did the Pink Panther say when he stepped on an ant?
I don't know.
Dead ant.
Dead
ant.
I said this is when I told my mom the other day. I have this friend named Joe, and I said, so Joe is losing weight doing the Dolly Parton diet. And she said, what's that? And I'm like, because it makes Jolene. Jolene. She hung up on me, but it was great. I laughed.
There you go. I found you. Sent it to you in Discord.
Thank you.
Navy's like the king of dad jokes. He needs to come in and give you some jokes. He's all about
I think my whole funeral will be people getting up and be like, one time she told me this joke, and it'll be a bunch of my bad jokes. I love them.
I've made it a personal decision that at my funeral, I'm not going to have a will because I don't want to have to decide who gets my shit.
Right.
So instead, I'm going to have a raffle.
A raffle.
Blood sports.
But there's a catch to it. Because one of the prizes that you can win at the raffle is the cost of the funeral.
Oh, that's good.
See, I'm gonna leave like an 8-hour video where I slowly name off every single thing individually, but leave the important stuff to the very last part. So they
you
have
to
to
watch
sit
it all.
through all of it. And the person who gets her 5 records,
Intersperse it throughout so they can't, if they skip ahead, they may miss something really important. So,
right?
And I buried the coffee can full of money beneath a tree, and I'll tell you which tree in about 20 minutes.
I actually have no will, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, who am I going to bequeath my guitars and bass to?
At least you said bequeath and not bequeath, which I literally heard someone say the other day. I'm going to bequeath something to you, and I thought, I hope you fucking don't.
I just like the word bequeath. I bequeath to you.
It would have to be Mowdy.
Schecter guitar. Oh, Mowdy's got nicer basses than I do. I have a Schecter that's like, I don't know, that was like 800, I think, at the time. Like that's a nice one, but it's not like Mowdy's is like 1,000 or something. Like they're expensive compared to what I have. You got fancy Dan basses. No, somebody that likes to play, but doesn't necessarily have all the best stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
My husband plays really well, but
and you have to be right-handed because I'm a right-handed person.
Who wants a spicier graph?
Yeah.
We got a spice craft.
A spicier Venn diagram.
I didn't have a Venn diagram. I had a Venn diagram. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
1 degree.
God damn it. Stop it, sir. Now I'm in trouble.
No, you're not.
God.
You're fine. All the rest of them are like that.
And that's how you get demonetized on YouTube.
Oh, anytime I have Serb on, I just think I'll get demonetized. That's how it is.
I can't help it. I was first responder for years.
I can't find it, but I did have a Venn diagram of it was one side that it was, Anakin slaughtering younglings. The other side was jokes about Anakin slaughtering younglings. And in the middle was things that'll never get old.
Yeah.
Take it to the
I have one. I'm not going to show it, but on one side it says school shooting jokes, and on the other side it says school shooting victims.
No.
And in the middle it says never gets old.
So to be fair, let me explain. Serb's a firefighter / EMT. They're different.
All right. You want to get this demonetized, Serb? Would you care to tell us?
Oh no, she doesn't want to do that. No, I don't want to tell a story about the popcorn machine.
Oh come on! The story about the popcorn machine is a great story.
I feel I feel like I need to hear. I'm a nurse, so the only thing that makes me sick is C. diff. So go for it. I'm ready.
I don't know if the popcorn machine's worse than the person that was the pet.
Right?
That's bad.
No, that's the same story.
It is the same story. The pet person.
Yeah, because we got the popcorn machine as a thank you.
I was only doing this to get Serb to say no, and now you want to talk about it.
No, I don't really want to talk about that. It's so disgusting. You can talk about it on the server. You can write it out or something, or go join the voice chat. You can hear the popcorn story.
I want to see that come up as one of those voice read things on Facebook from things from Reddit.
Oh my God.
I want that story on Reddit so it shows up like that, Serb.
So Serb was one of the ones that figured out I was loopy from COVID and told me to get thee to the ER. And when I did, my O2 was so low that they were like, "How come you're not passed out?"
Right.
He was like, "You're acting really weird."
I think that's actually what I said. That I told you to get a pulse ox because you're acting exactly like you have no oxygen in your brain.
What was it? Did you tell me it was 83 or something crazy?
It was something low like that. I don't know. It was too low for me to not be passing out or something. That's really weird. But I felt fine. In fact, I felt better than fine. It's because I was loopy.
That's the dangerous part of that is that you don't think there's anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I decided not to. I decided I didn't like that one doctor that hung out in drag server.
Oh yeah, because I was in the Dragoon server and Serb was like, "You're acting weird." And then like you guys were asking me questions and I don't even remember how I answered them or what you asked because that's how loopy I was. But I remember answering them and Acetal was like, meh.
Well, you were sitting in the room basically just listing off symptoms, and he was just didn't give a shit.
Oh, he's a doctor. That makes sense.
Meanwhile,
Sorry.
Serb's like,
Then I started like interrogating her.
You and Exiled was like,
That's a common theme you'll find amongst your medical friends. Will interrogate you the minute something. Oh, this is going on. Well, I've got 30 questions for you. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
Well, I always do have that. So while I'm not gonna like go on Twitter and be like, ah! Or on live, I am a very anxious person, and I struggle to know if it's serious or not. Because I worry a lot. So like I go like, and then I try to downplay it and go, it's not that serious. And it turns out it's serious. Like I get really confused that way. So like, I'm like, well, maybe this isn't that, oh, maybe it is a big deal. I don't know. And so I second guess myself, even if I'm in pain, I'll second guess myself as if I'm not for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be like, okay, I better go in. Like on Saturday, when I had that thing on Saturday, I was in so much pain, but I was like, I don't know. I kept thinking like, well, emergency rooms are expensive. And then maybe this is gonna pass. Maybe I'm just being a big baby. Like then finally I was like, oh, I better go in. It was like it started at 9 and I didn't go into the ER until like 4 maybe.
Crazy. I'm married to someone who has medical anxiety, and my best friend has medical anxiety as well, also known as hypochondria, which is a legit real thing. So like being pumped for information and questioned, I've gotten used to how to handle people. And then I run across someone like you who legit has a problem, and I'm like, what are you doing sitting in your computer chair? Why are you not
confused? Like I get confused. Plus, I was raised in a way was like you don't go to the ER unless you're dying, and then I'm like, am I dying?
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I dying? But
there's actually a rash of people, I guess near me in this one large city that's actually not too far from me. They figured out that if they go into the ER, like if they're actually sick, like really bad sick, they can't be refused service.
Right.
So they go into the ER. They say they don't have an ID. They sign fake names or all the paperwork, and then when they're released, they just walk away and disappear.
Yeah, that's an epidemic. That's an epidemic in small rural areas as well. I have encountered that, and it's sad because it's like I know who you are, but really, you don't. That's not your name. I saw you at the bar 2 nights ago. I know what's wrong with you.
I know what's wrong with you.
I mean, there's a lot probably wrong, but.
Well, I mean, that's a big thing that I've just recently have been trying to get over is my fear of going to the doctor. And it has nothing to do with an actual phobia. It's the fact that for a good portion of my life, if I went to the doctor or God forbid went to the emergency room, I didn't have good insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And like there was the best example I have is that when I was about 22, 23-ish, I legit thought I had a hernia. Because like getting from the prone position to standing was absolute hell.
Yeah.
I could not lift anything over 10 pounds and not wince. And eventually, like, my boss made me leave work to go to the emergency room to get checked out. And what it ended up being was that I had an abscess on my stomach, like right next to my belly button.
Internally or externally?
Little column A, little column B.
Okay.
Like a umbilical abscess?
No, it was just a hair follicle.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
But,
okay.
like-
Yeah, that would be more of external. Yeah.
Okay. But like I had this
obviously
thing,
it's internal, but you know what I mean? Not deep in there.
like I had this thing on my stomach that I thought like my intestines were poking out because I had this spot on my stomach that I could not touch. And I was at the hospital for about 6 hours. They put me in an MRI. And when they came back and told me, like, yeah, it's an abscess, we're going to drain it and do the whole spiel for you. When I left, I felt better. But then when I got the bill, it was $6,000.
Right. You felt a lot worse then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like, look, I got a knife at home and alcohol. Like, I can boil some
Right.
water to irrigate this. Why am I paying you $7,000?
I've watched enough episodes of Dr. Pimple Popper. I got this. Let's go.
So I've gotten bit by a spider twice and had it go awry, and both times are on my arm. On one time, it swelled up and it like turned into like this maroon thing and like just like hard maroon, like swelling up from my arm, and it started streaking, and they kind of started to look like Hellboy, you know, like with a swollen red arm, and then like there's like this dark line just traveling up my arm, and I was like, oh, and so I go in and they're like, what bit you? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, and they're like, I don't know either. And so they gave me like a shot. I don't remember what, like something, antihistamine or something. I don't know. And then they like monitored it. They would like make little marks to see like where it's like traveling to. And then they lanced it. And that was disgusting. And I'll spare you the details, but they lanced it, which is like cutting it open and draining it. And oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, good grief. So like I was like, oh geez. And then it happened again. I got bit by something else, and my brother's like, "You don't need to go to the ER, no ER." And he lanced it for me, and we put antibiotics on it. And then we take gauze, and we're just like wrapping gauze up my arm, and then I go to church group, like I don't know, like the next day on Wednesday, and I'm like, you know, gosh, at that time I was like maybe 13 or so. I go to church group and everybody's like, oh my God. And then I get talked to by the church leader and they're like, listen, if you need to talk to somebody and you're hurting yourself, I understand. I was there too. And I'm like, oh my God, no, it's not like that. I got bit by a spider. And they're like, you don't have to lie.
So fun fact, if you're ever bitten by a spider or if you are stung by something like a hornet or a wasp, one of the best things you can do if you know that you got bit or you got stung is you take powdered meat tenderizer and mix it with water and make it into a paste and put that over the bite or the sting. It'll draw.
It draws it out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this isn't medical advice. Always consult your doctor. We are not doctors here. Anyway, meat tenderizer. What?
Yes.
I would be kind of worried that it draws it out because it's literally breaking apart the bonds with the proteins of your body.
Right, because isn't the spider venom doing that too at the same time?
Yeah, that's what spider venom does.
I'm not saying, put it on a black widow bite or a brown recluse bite.
Well, Black Widow is neurological, and then some of the other ones, I think recluse is more like it's actually destroying your skin.
It destroys your skin. They cauterize it with silver nitrate now. Like that's.
Yeah, I think recluse is what is it? Hemotoxin.
Yeah.
There was a reason why they thought, for me, it wasn't a Black Widow because I wasn't responding in any neurological way.
I mean, it would have to be a good size Black Widow for it to really have a deep effect on you. Like, the average Black Widow that you would encounter, like we have Black Widows all over here. They're small. If one bit you would hurt, it would be bothersome, but it wouldn't truly you're not going to fall out at all.
Aren't some people more susceptible to?
Some people are more susceptible. I mean, if you're in the middle of the rainforest and one gets you, you might want to, see a doctor as soon as humanly possible. But I mean, even I was bit by a brown recluse on my neck, and it definitely caused some scar tissue in the end. But like I said, I went in and they cauterized it with silver nitrate, and that stopped it from spreading. It got a little bit bigger, but it wasn't anything major. And now, there's no scar that you can even see. If I point to the area and tell you to touch it, there's a little scar tissue you can feel. That's it.
Yeah. Also, if you're living like in somewhere like the Southwest and you get stung by like a tarantula hawk, don't do meat tenderizer. Go to the fucking hospital.
God, I don't know how you could even.
Tarantula hawks are
You wouldn't even
gross.
have like the presence of mind to do anything other than scream. So, ooh.
Yeah, we have tarantula hawks here, and then also they're really common in Arizona. And those suckers are huge. And luckily, they're usually not interested in people, but they can sting or bite you, and it's really bad. Yeah, I remember.
had,
I got tricked into going on a 12-mile bike trip locally, and I was on a trail and I got off my bike to walk the trail because it was like at this weird sketchy point, and I'm just like, this is not my level. And so I was walking it down, and then this is when I was more fit, obviously. And I'm looking at the pathway, kind of watching things, because it's like rocks and loose stuff, and I see this thing, and it's dragging a tarantula, and it's a tarantula hawk, and then the tarantula is like still alive, going ooh, and then like this thing, and I'm like, is it a bird? No, it's this huge hornet thing that's black and iridescent is dragging this guy, and I'm just like ooh. So then I had to look it up, and then like what they do is ugly. They are ugly creatures.
Have flashbacks of playing Fallout New Vegas.
Is that enough? I don't even know.
Makes me think of Rick and Morty.
Bye, Stacy. Thanks for coming. This is Stacy's first time on my channel. It's Wicked Pickle's first time on my channel. It's been forever since I've seen Nate Brody. Man, it was good to see Melissa again. I've won the lottery, man.
What's going on? I'm totally late to the game. So what's going on with Nate's Twitter? Did he address it? Did he make a video?
He thinks that he could possibly be part of the glitch that's happening for some people. It could be that, or it could be something else, and we haven't figured it out yet.
I mean, that would be awful convenient timing. I'm just saying.
Right? Definitely. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that works out.
Like, I have a Twitter, but I don't think I've ever actually done anything on Twitter. I barely have Facebook.
Pretty much nothing good happens on Twitter anyway.
No, I was going to say it's Satan's maw. Stay away.
I just use Facebook to steal memes.
Right. I always tell people, don't judge me by my Twitter. My Twitter's a dumb peep. It's just, I literally made Twitter originally to fight with Cheshire and Steve. That's literally how I made it.
Yeah.
Nothing good happens on it.
I was forced to give up Twitter.
Oh, yeah, I know you were. You can't be Twitter pated anymore.
University would not allow it. I could not be part of society.
Oh.
But you can YouTube.
Technically, yes. But only because I'm so well hidden.
I'm reporting you.
Yeah.
I'm reporting Spackle for reporting you.
Oh, I don't know. Spackle, you didn't know. Probably
I hate my job anyway. It's fine.
I got my title just a few weeks ago. I now have a title in front of my name.
Nice.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I can call you by the title without being doxy, so I guess I won't.
Yeah.
It's Sir Cerberus now.
Well, no.
It's Grand Wizard Cerberus.
Oh,
Grand Wizard.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, wait a second. I got a thing for this.
We're not supremacists here, guys.
Is it Darth Cerberus? I mean... That would be a pretty good.
People are referring to your picture, sir.
Oh, they are? What did I say? Oh, yeah. There wasn't much in there. That was pretty tight.
This is the mention of your Speedo picture made Wilson go away.
Oh.
Bye.
Dipped.
Peace out.
But I think I'm always going to end up I don't care this level of doxing. I think I'm just going to get stuck as an adjunct though,
Oh,
because my time split between the university and the academy. So I'm technically only part-time at the university.
mm.
Unless till maybe I get too old to walk up flights of stairs.
You need to get tenure.
You can, I don't know if I can get tenure as an adjunct.
Yeah, you want to try to get out of the adjunct. I think you know who could maybe be helpful in talking about this sort of thing is maybe Dr. Misha. If you talk to her, she's on Unifam server. She probably know more about navigating that kind of stuff.
Because I skipped over assistant, right? I was instructor, now I'm associate.
Right.
And I can technically become a full-blooded professor. Full-blooded.
Or Mowdy, too.
But I don't know if I could get
You might know
tenure
more.
being adjunct.
But they're so being a professor. Okay, so Misha's a professor of like history and whatnot, and Mowdy's a psych professor, and you're a professor of blah blah blah. But your field is so much different. Like, would their experiences even relate?
I mean, it's far. I mean, the system's all the same for all of them, right? Advancement anyway.
Is tenure like? Is there demand related to tenure too? Though, like, is it if it's less populated field, is tenure easier to come by?
Yeah. I mean, it weighs more heavily on just where you're at, because there could be like different standards, but it's like expertise and quality of research and publishing, and it's all very subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, you're just seen as being valuable,
right?
So they try to lock you down.
Yeah, they put a ring on it.
Yeah, right now I'm just valuable because they're not the one writing the check.
Right.
The state's writing my whole check. I just so happen, because they're like cooperative, that I teach 2 classes at the university that isn't fire science.
All these teachers.
I wanted to be a teacher, but I hate people, so I realized it wasn't for me.
You hate people? You don't strike me as someone that hates people.
I mean, like, it's really hard. Like, if someone comes to me again and wants some education, something I know about, I'm so happy to give that to them. I love the conversation. But if I have to deal with like somebody who's in a required class who doesn't really want to be there, I don't have the stomach for it.
Do Good says, "Oh yeah, you're still alive." I am, but I am about ready to close because I do have an obligation. I have a neighbor that's having some sort of Valentine's Day party, and I think we're gonna show up, and that means I have to get cleaned up and bring food apparently. So y'all, thanks for joining. It was really fun. I like these sort of hangouts. So
I broke out and saw you were live, and I was like, "Let's go."
I did not expect that. I'm glad you did.
I got in a fight. Speaking of doctors, you got in a fight with my doctor, and I was like, "I gotta go. I can't be. I don't want to do this. Leave me alone."
Did you just peace out? Is that what happened?
I mean, it might have been AMA, but yeah, okay. They know.
Can I do one more spicy meme?
Okay. Well, how bad is the spice?
It's like jalapeno, but not any higher than that.
No habanero here.
No school. You know what jokes or oven jokes, right?
No oven jokes.
Okay. What is your horrible meme? Let's see.
Stop.
Really? God damn it.
That's a great one.
Now that I'm canceled.
And on that note,
don't be like Serb unless you're pulling somebody out of a fiery building. Then be like Serb, but don't be like Serb's memes, okay?
Yeah, man. If you're doing that for a living, you are looking for memes like that. If not making them.
Looking for memes like that?
Yeah. Right. I have a very stereotypical sense of humor for a first responder.
Most do. They're very
All right. I am going to log off. Y'all have a good evening. I'm going
Good
to
night.
hit the end broadcast button in 3, 2, 1. YOLO.
Bye bye.